Tonight's broadcast is brought to you in HD by Xfinity. Kevin Kugler alongside Spencer Tillman. The third member of our crew tonight is Drew Doherty, and Drew's got a little bit more on a couple of stars on that Texans defensive side.
That's right, guys. J.J. Watt had the sack last week at Arizona, and on that same play, had he not gotten there, Jadeveon Clowney would have. Those two obliterated the left side of the Arizona offensive line, but when I talked to Watt on Thursday, he said, that's what's supposed to happen. They were signal blocking both of us. So watch how many guys are devoted blocking to each of them, and watch what happens if they're not doing that, because it leads to turnovers, sacks, batted passes, and more, stuff that we didn't see enough of in 2013.
You know, Bill Kolar, the defensive line coach, is going to do an excellent job of finding a way with these three down linemen to find J.J. Watt access to the quarterback. We know he was disruptive in last year's system, but how will he be in this version of the 3-4? A little bit less aggressive. I think they'll find a way to get him in there to make big plays.
You think people are excited about Jadeveon Clowney around here?
He's special, man. We saw some of the speed last week, and then the week before, even in a less than 100% state with that repaired sports hernia injury, he looks pretty darn good, Kevin.
Devin Hester receives the kickoff from the goal line. The new Falcon going to work, and one of the best return men in the history of the game stopped shy of the 20-yard line at the 17. Tackle by Andre Hal. And the Falcons offense will take the field first. Hester leaves. Julio Jones onto the field for the first time since the foot injury. Knocked him out for 11 games in 2013. He was on pace for 130 catches before the injury.
Well, he's an elite receiver. There's no question about it. I've been tracking him since his SEC days. He's an elite player.
No Steven Jackson tonight. Jacquizz Rodgers, the lone setback. He gets the carry on first down, and Rodgers trying to fight his way forward, just stopped shy of the 20-yard line. A pickup of 2 for Jacquizz Rodgers. And the starting lineup for the Atlanta Falcons: Sam Baker, John Asamoah, the new man on that offensive line, coming over after 4 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. You see Rodgers, who got the carry, Julio Jones and Roddy White comprising a pretty nice little duo at wide receiver. Second down and 8 at the 19. First pass for Matt Ryan. A flag is down, and the catch on the sideline at the 24-yard line. Brooks Reed on the tackle of the fullback, Patrick DeMarco. And we'll get our first look at Jeff Triplett, our referee tonight, who will mark off yardage against the Falcons.
Illegal formation, offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
Partner, it's good to see the tide turning already. Again, a great job of keeping them limited on that first play, and then I thought Brooks was going to be called for outside, but not such the case. Tonight's
starting lineups are brought to you by Houston Methodist. For full bios and stats on each Texans player, visit HoustonTexans.com. Justin Tuggle starting against his dad's old team. You know he's excited about this one. There's Jackson and Boye. We talked about those two at the corners at the top of the show. Second down and 13, back at the 14-yard line. Penalties were a concern for Atlanta last week as well.
Too deep shell here.
Second and 13, Ryan short. There's Julio Jones. And Jones upended before he can get back to the 20-yard line by Kareem Jackson. Not an easy guy to bring down. Good play by Jackson.
Well, see, that's what we talked about in our open. We talked about the proximity. Even though they're playing zone, a little bit softer off the coverage, you saw Kareem Jackson able to close again. Just a 3-man rush here. The ball released underneath the Julio Jones, and again, open field tackle, getting underneath the lengthy, long receiver to make a great play in open field.
Third down and 7 at the 20. Kareem Jackson tackling his former college teammate, Julio Jones. From the 20. Airing it deep. Julio Jones is open, a leaping grab, and it's out of bounds. He could not pull it in. As he came to the turf, the ball slipped out of his hands, and the Falcons will have to punt it away. The Texans defense comes up with a stop.
Yeah, I think it's A.J. Boye manning that left tackle, that left corner position. And again, you can see him squatting his coverage, bit on the double move. Jones got behind him, and again, the separation is big. You can't be too aggressive, particularly against an elite receiver like Julio Jones. He'll learn, but it almost cost him.
On to punt, Matt Bosher. Keyshawn Martin back deep for the Texans. Martin the 36. Martin with a corner. Martin got a block and a nice return for the Houston Texans, who will set up in wonderful field position in Falcons territory. Javier Arenas ran him out, but Keyshawn Martin gives the Texans some good field position.
Excuse me, partner. This is something that the Texans have been missing in the return game. Keyshawn does an excellent job of stemming, getting upfield to draw in all of the defenders, and he bounces to the outside. Excellent to put the Texans in midfield. Great position, someplace they certainly didn't visit last week.
There's Ryan Fitzpatrick, the veteran, trying to bounce back after that rough outing against the Cardinals in the desert last weekend. Jonathan Grimes gets the nod as Arian Foster out again tonight, and Grimes upended after a gain of 1 at the 47. Our starting lineups tonight brought to you by Houston Methodist, and the big news in the offensive line, Xavier Suafilo starting tonight at right guard.
Love to see him in there. He's flexible. They move him at the center. They may move him at tackle. Look him in the guards in the early go, though.
Backs and receivers without Andre Johnson or Mike Thomas tonight for the Texans. Thomas, the leading receiver a week ago. Grimes again, trying to turn the corner, and the Falcons string it out well. No gain on the play. In fact, may have lost a yard back to the 48. Dwight Lowry there to finish it off after the line of the Falcons really strung that one out.
Yeah, if the Texans are going to avoid 1, 2, 3 and outs on the offensive side of the ball, Kevin, they've got to do a better job as Jonathan Grimes of reading that and getting north and south. Again, you're not going to get too far running horizontal against NFL caliber front lines. And again, particularly with the corner play being hard corners, they're ready to stop you.
Our 1st and 10 line this quarter brought to you by Verizon. See where the Falcons are trying to keep the Texans from getting 3rd down and 10. Quick screen looking for running room. DeVere Posey, none there. Closing quickly. Paul Warlow was there. Osi Umenyiora in the neighborhood, and the Falcons shut down the Texans offense, and the punt team will come on.
So another 1, 2, 3 and out, but one thing I like about that last play, Fitzpatrick did a great job of releasing, first of all, disearning the pressure that was coming from the left side of the field and got rid of the ball. Maybe a better job by the receiver getting up the field and maybe bouncing it outside was possible. But again, I'm not feeling nearly as negative as we were last week at this time after a 1, 2, 3 and out.
Shane Leckler's numbers a week ago. No surprise to see Leckler come out in midseason form. Devin Hester, who averaged 14 yards a return a year ago in the punt return game, back deep. He'll call for the fair catch. And the Texans are going to down it just inside the 10-yard line. Nice work by Shane Leckler and that Texans defense downing it inside the 10. Falcons starting deep. Our scoreboard this quarter brought to you by Hyundai. No score on that Hyundai scoreboard. 10:49 remaining in the first quarter. And Bill O'Brien's squad has stacked the field and pinned the Falcons deep. It's game day. We know all you Texans fans are geared up and excited to see your team take the field. We want to see your smiling faces. We're already seeing some of them. Email us your best game day photos at fanpics@HoustonTexans.com. We'll be featuring some of our favorite photos throughout tonight's game. Stay tuned to see if we show yours.
I'll tell you, Kevin, Texans fans are something special. I always get here real early, right around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And there was a tailgate line, man, that stretched all the way back to the highway, 610. Unbelievable dedication for that man right there in the early go. He's got a lot of fans behind him wanting him to do well.
Second offensive possession of the night for the Falcons, and it starts just inside their own 10-yard line. Rodgers on 1st down, trying to find a little room sideways to the 14-yard line. Jason Ankra, who's had a very good camp for the Houston Texans, and a guy who's got a real good shot to make this squad. He comes up with a stop. He's been consistent. He's been disruptive in the interior line when he's had an opportunity. And again, another close call from the right side outside linebacker position by Jadeveon Clowney. Almost in the backfield enough to disrupt that play for no gain. So between the two of them, you're going to see a lot of aggression on that interior line, particularly from the outside. 2nd down and 6. Antone Smith, the running back for the Falcons. Smith with the carry and the 1st down just across the 20-yard line. That's a good piece of running right there. If there is a weakness to a 3-4 scheme, it's the fact that you only have 3 down linemen. The linebackers have to play extremely heavy. So you're outnumbered by 2 men. It's 5-3 in that interior line. So again, those little 2-3 yard pops for short and 2nd and 3rd, they come a little bit easier against a 3-4 than a 4-3. Roddy White and Julio Jones to the bottom of your screen. Smith with the carry. Smith wriggling forward and finding some yardage out near the 27-yard line before Mike Muhammad could make the stop. And Antone Smith's an interesting guy. He didn't have a carry in the National Football League until last year.
Well, you know, running backs are always going to an opportunity to show themselves. And when they read plays properly, again, Garoppolo getting really driven right there. There was an opportunity to cut that ball back inside. But again, you can't do like some of the coaches used to say. You can't run the darkness. You can't be like Ray Charles, man. You got to put your vision on so you can see and hit the hole, brother.
2nd and 4 at the 27-yard line.
Nice.
Oh, a huge hit. What a stick by Clowney.
Wow.
Antone Smith may not want another carry after Clowney gets into the backfield and lights him up.
Are you kidding me? This is quicker than a hiccup, folks, so watch it. On the outside, goes right by the outside tackle. Jadeveon Clowney is unbelievable. That wide 5 technique, the dip the shoulder to get around the corner and disrupt that ball and the runner before he gets a chance to do anything. That's special.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, doctor.
Jadeveon Clowney announcing himself in a big way to the Falcons and to the home crowd. 3rd and 6. Ryan under pressure, and Ryan is sacked, and it's that man again. Clowney with a huge hit and a sack, and the first pick overall in the draft, shining early for Houston.
Better get some help, and this is where this defense is going to be helpful. You can see the wider that technique gets it, puts the tackle on the island, he doesn't have a chance. He's got to grab him, he's so fast. With sprinter speed, he's able to dip the shoulder, the strength, 6'5", 265 pounds plus, to just run through the tackle. Brilliant play by Jadeveon Clowney.
Joe Adams back, awaiting the punt from Atlanta's Matt Bosher. And a flag is down. And the Texans with too many
12 men on the defense. The 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
And that's one of those penalties that will not make Bill O'Brien very happy. He talked about eliminating the penalties, and that's one that coaches never like to see.
Well, anytime it's any penalty is bad, but particularly the kind that are alignment and mental errors, those are the types of things that really sticks in the craw of a coach.
Still 4th and 8. Joe Adams awaiting the punt. Bosher with a ton of hang time. Adams will call fair catch, and he makes it at the 31-yard line. And how about Jadeveon Clowney? What a start for the #1 overall pick. Gets to the quarterback.
With the first pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jadeveon Clowney, defensive end, South Carolina.
You saw the emotion on draft day for Mr. Clowney. He's going to be creating a lot of emotions very similar in NFL quarterbacks around the league if he keeps up this pace.
Just ask Sam Baker if he hasn't already started at left tackle for Atlanta Falcons. He's worn him out.
Grimes the single setback for the Texans. 2nd offensive possession. Fitzpatrick to throw. Pressure coming up the middle. Fitzpatrick able to get away and avoid the sack. Hot and heavy pressure from Jonathan Massaquoi, forcing Ryan Fitzpatrick to get rid of that football.
Yeah, and you know, Fitzpatrick's not necessarily the guy that they brought in here to be athletic and to get away, but that was a tremendous job of eluding, going the opposite direction of where he was rolling out to get that ball and that shoulder up and released in a way to avoid the sack. That's an excellent play by the quarterback.
2nd down and 10. 7:17 to go first quarter. Grimes the single setback. Receiver to the bottom of your screen is DeVere Posey. Play action. Fitzpatrick. A little bit of hand fighting, and the catch is made by DeAndre Hopkins, who dances out of bounds near midfield. He and Robert Alford were locked up out there. The flag comes in after the 19-yard pickup, and we'll wait and see if it's on the offense or the defense.
Prior to the pass, holding number 23 of the defense. That penalty is declined. It's on the play as a 1st down.
Yeah, Kevin, Alford got a little handsy on that play. Remember, this is part of the emphasis. The double move on the outside, the break, the stop, and then it's right there on his back shoulder. But when you're playing man coverage, you've got to be alert. Alford should have done a better job of identifying where the ball was. He had safety help in the 3rd of the field behind him.
Motion by C.J. Fedorowicz to the right end of the line. Single setback is Jonathan Grimes. On 1st down from midfield, Grimes the carry. breaks one tackle, and Grimes with a good strong run to the 44-yard line. A pickup of 6 for Jonathan Grimes. Japlo Bartu able to come in and make the stop.
I like O'Brien's play selection here. Again, you get a nice play distribution of the field, beginning with the great catch by Hopkins far left, come back to the middle field, run it with, and then maybe stretch the right side of the field. And what you're doing is affecting the defense, making them cover the entire breadth and width of the field. Now he's getting into a groove as a play call.
2nd and 4. Fedorowicz again in motion. Grimes again. A little bit of a hole, and Grimes close to the first down at the 40-yard line. Host of Falcons there at the end with Croy Bierman starting the charge.
Again, what I'm seeing, Kevin, this is the game inside the game as we talk about it. You've noticed the last 3 plays have been to the left, to the middle, and to the right. They look maybe nondescript, just a couple of few yards, but what it's doing is getting this defense to run the width of the field, and that's going to wear them out. As they move down and progress the chains, the Texans are doing exactly what they want this offense to do.
You like what you're seeing so far?
Absolutely love it.
Grimes again, the single set back on first down. Quick throw, Fedorowicz with a bobble and a catch, and a 4-yard gain to the 36-yard line. Warlow on the tackle, and the rookie C.J. Fedorowicz getting into the receiving act.
Comes in from Iowa, one of the draft picks this year, more known for his blocking. He's a big-bodied guy, but being able to catch that ball with the guy in his hip pocket so close in man coverage, that's a bright spot as well, because defenders are going to have to make a decision. Do you cover him with a linebacker, or do you cover him with the safety? He's going to be a weapon for this team.
Not known as a great pass catcher, although in college had at least 1 catch in each of his last 31 games as a Hawkeye. 2nd down and 5. The toss again, and another catch for Fedorowicz, and Fedorowicz struggles forward for the first down to the 26-yard line. Warlow and William Moore there combining on the stop, but Fitzpatrick and the Texans with another first down.
Well, the players are making the plays, those close plays that they didn't make last week. Again, I'm just loving the way Bill O'Brien is scripting this in terms of painting the ball around the field and making the Falcons cover every aspect of the release, the headbutt. He loves to put the defender, particularly linebackers, in his hip pocket, get physical with them, separation, and use that big body to make a play.
Grimes now on the left side, and Grimes plucked from behind after a pickup of 2. Jonathan Grimes tackled by Paul Soliai.
You know, the Texans, Kevin, when they get down here, one thing that they didn't utilize, I believe, enough last year was DeAndre Hopkins, because he's got such huge hands, and then the diesel package with 2 tight ends. Being able to have all of those personnel on the field at the same time causes matchup problems for a defense. And there you see right there, DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to be a big-time player once they get inside the 20.
2nd down and 8. Fitzpatrick under pressure, throws, and it's incomplete. He had Hopkins right where he wanted him at the 13-yard line. Robert Alford in there to try to break that one up.
Alford, nice job, close proximity to the receiver. Again, DeAndre could have helped him out a little bit. They got a little bit physical in that turn, but again, come back to the ball and help him. Again, I think he could have gotten his body in front of that. DeAndre will learn how to position himself to help his quarterback out.
3rd down and 8 at the Falcon 24-yard line. Alford blew in to the left of Fitzpatrick in the shotgun. Pressure coming, room to run. Fitzpatrick with a first down and more inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. A 10-yard scamper for Ryan Fitzpatrick and a Texans first down.
There you see the intellect, the Harvard grad pulling it down, running away from traffic, Kevin. Again, you can see the majority on a, what they call a port side charge to the left side of the defensive line. An intuitive move by the quarterback to go opposite of that port side charge. Now we're in the red zone. Can they convert?
The trip to the red zone brought to you by Houston Community College. First time in the red zone this preseason for the Texans offense. Putting together a nice drive here, trying to punch it in from the 14. Blue banging his way inside the 10, dragging tacklers down to the 4-yard line. Tough 10 yards for the rookie Alfred Blue, and it's going to be 1st and goal, Houston.
Kevin, that's what you call running heavy. Alfred Blue with that 6'1", 226-pound frame on the stretch play, bounces it inside just a tad little bit and get those shoulders low, lower than the defender trying to bring him down, and leans forward for extra yardage. The LSU Tiger making it happen, baby.
How about Jay Prosh? Speaking of Tigers, the Auburn Tiger with that club on his hand. He's got the cast on his left hand and wrist after an injury in practice.
Big key reason why the Auburn Tigers played for the national title, Jay Prosh.
First and goal at the 4-yard line. Prosh and Blue in the backfield. Blue the carry, and Blue to the goal line. Is he in? He is not. They're going to mark him just short. Texans players are signaling touchdown, but the guys in stripes are saying second and goal.
Again, it's tight. This is where you earn your money in the National Football League. Low man typically wins down here. I think he may have been down just a little bit before he got to that end line, but afterwards, after the jersey's cleared, tell you what, his knee may have been down just before, but he stretched that 6'1" frame out there and made it look difficult.
Second and goal inside the 1. Graham in motion. Blue the carry, and that's a Texans touchdown!
I don't care if it's preseason or not. Alfred Blue just got his first NFL touchdown, and the Texans' first of this preseason. And I know his dad on this little boss play to the left side is happy. Had the pleasure of sitting beside him, Kevin, on the way up last week to Arizona, and he is so passionate about his son. And we talked about the narrative of them having to relocate after the Hurricane Katrina. He's living now in Humble, Texas. His son breaking in the NFL in a special way.
Randy Bullock on for the extra point. The kick is good, and after 6 minutes and 4 seconds, a 69-yard drive. The Houston Texans are on the board for the first time in the preseason, taking a 7-0 lead on the heels of this 1-yard touchdown run from Alfred Blue. 7 Falcons, nothing. 1:19 remaining first quarter in Houston. Watch for the Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football Standout to be announced during the fourth quarter. It's your chance to win 4 Houston Texans VIP tickets to a regular season game. Stay tuned to win and start a league today at yahoo.com/fantasyfootball. Now, the rules of this, Spencer, I'm new to this whole thing. Can it be the same guy 2 weeks in a row? Alfred Blue got it last week, although I think maybe number 90 on the defense is the early leader in the clubhouse.
Hey, I was always told your gifts make room for you. So if the guy does it, hey, he earned it, man. That's a special guy right here. One of the bright spots, Kevin, from last week was the fact that the Texans had 77 rushing yards to 15 compared to Arizona last week. So again, you're seeing at least a modicum of consistency with what may be the identity for the Houston Texans offensively. It's that running game. And the good thing is it may not necessarily have to be totally predicated on Arian Foster, who's yet to return to active duty.
Devin Hester from 2 yards deep. Out he comes. Hester stopped at the 10-yard line. Terrific kick coverage by the Texans as Josh Victorian buried Devin Hester just shy of the 10.
That's great tandem and teamwork. Victorian, an excellent job of containing from that L5 position. Outstanding job on the special teams.
Special teams, defense, and offense. It's all coming up Houston right now with a 7-0 lead. 7-0 Texans, 1:14 remaining first quarter. Kevin Kugler alongside Spencer Tillman. Back down we go on the field to Drew Doherty.
Guys, all offseason long, Bill O'Brien said this team needed to get bigger, stronger, faster. Look at that last sequence. You had the TFL on the sack by Jadeveon Clowney, and then stars on the offense, C.J. Fedorowicz, Jay Prosh, Alfred Blue hammering it home.
Not a bad start all the way around. Rodgers in the backfield as Ryan will throw on first down, looking for Roddy White. He's got the veteran who's out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Boye on the coverage, but a pickup of 17 and a Falcons first down.
And that's where not having that ability to create pressure is problematic. Again, if Jadeveon Clowney's in the game, which he's not right now, you look at the Texans' average starting position, own 12. And the Texans there at 42, rather the Falcons on their own 12. A big difference in the outcome of the game early on.
Waning moments of this first quarter. A first down for Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Back to the air goes Ryan. And the pass knocked away from Roddy White by Kendrick Lewis, who got in front of Roddy White and knocked it to the turf. Second down.
Yeah, the veteran player Kendrick Lewis stepping in there and getting the hand in there. And that's part of the proximity to the defender that we talked about. He got some help in a disguise and a combination. Merciless on the outside was actually in position. They swapped responsibilities. And again, that's part of what we didn't see last week. The closeness to the receivers, the defenders, and the Houston Texans back end doing a better job of that this week.
Tim Jamison providing a little pressure on Matt Ryan as well at the end of that play. 2nd down and 10 at the 27-yard line. Draw play. Rodgers picking his way forward, and a huge hit leveled by Kendrick Lewis. We are seeing some hitting here tonight from this Texans D as Lewis drills Rodgers.
Kendrick Lewis really wins this battle, number one, because he puts his shoulders down underneath a guy who's given up actually more 20 pounds than he is. He gets underneath him and really makes him pay for it, Kevin.
3rd down and 3 at the 34. Falcons do not have to snap it before the end of the quarter. And they will not. We have reached the end of the first quarter. And the Houston Texans off to a good start in all facets tonight. A 7-0 advantage. The first-round pick. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick to another rookie to punch in the first score of the preseason. Start of the second quarter, Texans with a 7-0 lead over the Atlanta Falcons. Houston Texans 2014 season tickets may be all sold out, but a few luxury suites still remain. Call 832-667-2160 to learn more about Texan suites and to schedule a tour. Call 832-667-2160 today. On 3rd down and 3, the pass incomplete, intended for Roddy White. Brandon Harris out there on the coverage, and the Texans defense will force another Falcons punt.
Partner, I can tell you what the Texans are doing defensively, particularly on 3rd down. Romeo Cornell is really disguising how they eventually get to the defense that they're utilizing, something they didn't do last week. You can see them stem into their final coverage with safety help over the top, close to the receivers. This is the type of ball that I think we can expect defensively in the regular season once we get going.
Matt Bosher punting to Joe Adams. Adams at the 22. And Adams down to the 27-yard line. A flag is down as well back at the 16-yard line. Desmond Southward on the tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. Jeff Triplett will tell us what's going on with the penalty. We have not seen as much laundry, at least at this point in the game, as we saw in Arizona a week ago. We'll see what happens in the second half if that holds.
Illegal block in the back. Number 27 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down, timeout.
Josh Victorian with the penalty. New quarterback coming on the field for the Houston Texans. You may be surprised who it is. New quarterback is the newest quarterback. Tom Savage, the rookie, gets the call from Bill O'Brien as the 2nd quarterback of the night. Ryan Fitzpatrick's night is done after leading the Texans to the touchdown, and on 1st down, Grimes trying to find some running room outside. A flag is down, but Spencer Tillman, you are my football interpreter here. What should I take from this entrance early for Tom Savage?
Well, I'm not patting myself on the back, but in our meetings yesterday, I told you. So now
I think actually you are.
He loses to hands to the face. Number 99 of the defense. 5 yards penalty added to the end of the run. Automatic 1st down.
Stanley Maponga on the penalty.
So now if I tell you there's cheese on the moon, you better bring some crackers, man. and I'll tell you, here's the thing. I haven't sat down and talked with Bill O'Brien, but here's what this is my opinion as an analyst. I think this is the natural bridge from Fitzpatrick that will move this team forward in terms of intellect, in terms of what you expect from a quarterback in this system. The upside is great if you can master what they're asking you to do. That's not a comment in commentary that's negative against Case Keenum. It is simply looking at what I see as more upside for a quarterback that has all the physical tools and the intellect that run this offense.
1st down and 10, Grimes the carry, and a good run shy of the 22-yard line, nearly 5 yards for Jonathan Grimes. Paul Soliai on the tackle. So what constitutes a successful night for Tom Savage in the quarterback position?
I don't know if there's specific numbers, but it goes back to what we talked about in the open last week. It's really that cap number we talked about, not salary cap, but it's command at the line of scrimmage, his accuracy and the preparation that must take place long before they get to the football field. And how you know that's successful is by how he succeeds in these play series right here.
Second down and 5 at the 22. 3 receivers to the bottom of your screen for the Texans. And on second down, a little shift there by the defensive line, and Grimes able to get through it for a couple. Leaves third and short coming up for Houston. Our power stats brought to you by Reliant. And the drive comparison from last week to that last drive for the Houston Texans, night and day, I believe is how you would compare those.
It's impressive. If you look at the first down differential, 6-2 in favor of the Texans, that's a minimum of 18 additional plays the Texans have been able to create as a result of converting. Savage getting them into the right play, Kevin, right now, as he did on the last play, although it looked nondescript. He got them where they needed to go.
They're down 3 at the 24. Savage to the outside. The pass incomplete, but a flag coming in. Desmond Trufant out there on the coverage. May have gotten there a little early.
And back judge saw it, and again, this is a point of emphasis for the National Football League.
Prior to the pass, holding number 21 in the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
They're embracing the fact that they want these offensive guys to have access to the ball. Caught the front of that jersey there, got a little bit handsy. I don't know how the back judge saw that, but just enough hands there to make that play and to call it.
Easy Wachuku, the intended receiver. And a first down for the Houston Texans. Tight ends Griffin and Graham shifting. Grimes breaks one tackle, breaks another tackle. Jonathan Grimes into the secondary. Grimes on the run, upended in midfield. A terrific 21-yard scamper by Jonathan Grimes. Dwight Lowry finally caught it.
Shades of Arian Foster with the spin and the change of direction on the stretch play. Coming up through the center, the off guard pulling up, the spin move. And oh, spin, spin, spin. A whirling dervish. Grimes doing an excellent job of protecting the football and getting a field but left hand free to maintain his balance, Kevin. Cuts loose and gets extra yardage. That's an excellent play by Grimes.
Seems to me I watched a man in an Oklahoma Sooner uniform do that a time or two against my alma mater. Savage pumps, flag down, and he just got rid of that football. All kinds of confusion and swirling Falcons in the backfield for the rookie to deal with.
Yeah, Newton was holding, I think.
Holding, number 75 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Derek Newton, as Spencer Tillman mentioned, called for the hold. A guy that Bill O'Brien told us earlier in camp has really improved as the camp has gone on, and they need him to be very, very strong on that right side.
They really do, and I think the one thing that they've worked on is really his stance. In that particular play, you didn't necessarily see it there, but in pass pro, they've been getting him a little bit more squat and stable and keeping him more compact. Before last year, got his hands out in front of him and get turned around easily.
Now he's on the left side right now with Clabo playing the right tackle spot. On first down and 20, Blue with the carry. Blue fights his way forward to the 44-yard line, 3-yard gain.
Kevin, that was just a 3-yard gain, but when Blue hits the line of scrimmage and his shoulders make contact, there's a burst and then there's a little after charge after that. That, you know, Les Miles, the head coach there at LSU, really fosters that type of running from his running backs. And I was talking to Les just a couple of days ago, and I asked him about Alfred Blue, and he told me, you're going to love that kid there in Houston, Texas. He thinks he's special.
First and 10 line this quarter is brought to you by Yahoo. Second and 17, a long way to that first and 10 line for Tom Savage and the Texans after the penalty. Toss complete to Martin, and Martin driven back after he got to the 47-yard line. Just a 3-yard pickup for Keyshawn Martin, and third and long coming up for Houston.
Nice catch, pitch and catch by Martin, the quarterback. But I think Martin's got to do a better job of just turning his shoulders and get upfield. I mean, he's going to get the advantage of the spot forward progress. But, you know, a lot of times receivers will try to dip their shoulder and get upfield. But when a guy's kind of got you in his gun sights, it's best to give up and fight for another day.
Savage under pressure. The pass is tipped, and it's caught by Blue off the deflection. Blue trying to make something happen, and he'll lose yardage back to the 44-yard line. It was the veteran O.C. Umenyiora who's tipped a few in his time, got his hands on that one, and the Texans will have to punt it away.
Well, this is one of those scary things. You know, we were thinking turnovers and how to avoid them. You know, Blue does a great job being Johnny on the spot. You think you want to bat that ball down, but instinctively as a running back, believe me, you want to you want to get that ball as quick as you can, particularly if you don't feel anybody else around you. I really can't blame 44 for trying to make a play on that one.
Leckler to punt. Devin Hester back the good high punt by Leckler. Hester will watch that one sail to the 3-yard line, takes the turn, flipped back into play right at the goal line, and it's going to just sneak in for the touchback. Oh, so close. Andre Howell with a little grin on his face. He's watching it on the big screen. I almost had it.
Well, that was almost a perfect 9-iron, man. The backspin on it. He just put that ball down there, and it just trickled in, didn't it?
Needed a little extra spin. Our scoreboard this quarter brought to you by HEB, and the scoreboard right now showing a 7-0 Texans lead. Romeo Crennel's defense going back to work. Matt Ryan and the Falcons start from their own 20-yard line. Play action over the middle. Great grab by Julio Jones, and then he gets popped in the 34 by DJ Swearinger, who's got at least one big hit a week in him, it seems, not only from last year but in this preseason.
Yeah, DJ's got to be careful about standing over a guy like that, because, again, at that safety position, you'll have some shots on the guys. We look at the down Falcon now. DJ's got to really be careful about that.
That downed Falcon is the left tackle, Sam Baker, who injured his knee early in the year last year and went on IR in November. Hopefully nothing serious for the Falcons. Now, disappointment for the Atlanta Falcons as the 7th-year man out of USC, Sam Baker, still down on the field, and they have brought the cart out here in Houston to tend to Baker. He started 4 games at left tackle a year ago and then injured his knee, eventually ended up on IR, and that offensive line was a point of emphasis in the offseason to shore up for the Atlanta Falcons, and this is not a good sign, and you can see the struggles of Sam Baker just getting up. They'll put him on the cart, take him off, and that does not look good for Atlanta.
Yeah, he's not able to put much weight on, and early on in the game, you remember Jadeveon Clowney really worked Sam Baker over on that left tackle side, and this has not been a good first half for him. But, you know, as you pointed out, partner, they brought him back along with a couple of other guys to shore up that offensive line in hopes of Steven Jackson would have the type of return and be more productive as a runner. Without him, then maybe Jake Matthews over to that left tackle position. They're going to be able to at least get by, because that number 70 right there is going to be a great player one of these days. In the spirit of his dad, who played for so many years with the Houston Oilers, a former teammate of mine, Jake Matthews, his son, is pretty darn special. And there he is right there, Big Bruce.
At every position on the offensive line in the National Football League, 14-time Pro Bowler. Bruce Matthews' son, Jake Matthews, who was a left tackle in his final year at Texas A&M after making his first 33 starts on the right side. And you wonder if this injury to Sam Baker is a significant injury. Do they start to look at Jake Matthews on the other side of the line? But that's a discussion that I'm sure Mike Smith and the Falcons staff will discuss as the season and the preseason moves along. For right now, it's Lamar Holmes in at left tackle. And a first down and 10 from the 34-yard line. Smith trying to find some running room, and the door is slammed shut after about a half-yard gain. Justin Tuggle was there, Jason Ankra there once again, and it's 2nd down and 9.
Justin Tuggle doing an excellent job of playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage and disrupting that play. And you can see 57 get up the field, and again, watch him come underneath. He's about 2 yards deeper than where everybody else is in that line of scrimmage, and that made it difficult for the back to cut back against the grain.
Even the little hold for Patrick DeMarco couldn't stop Justin Tuggle. 2nd and 9. Smith again looking for running room up the middle, and the tackle made by Eddie Pleasant, who upends him at the 39-yard line, 4-yard gain.
Really impressed with the interior defensive play, the run-stopping ability by these Houston Texans. You expect the linebackers to do well. That's what a 3-4 is designed to do. It's really set up to allow the linebackers to shine, but the interior line is really holding their ground, particularly at the zero technique. Poe and company doing a fantastic job of anchoring that middle.
That's a huge key for this defense going into the regular season, anchoring the middle of that defense, and Poe trying to be the guy who steps up during the year to do that. From the 39, 3rd and 5. Ryan looking for Jones, and the pass is incomplete. A.J. Boye on the coverage, and he knocked it away from Julio Jones, and the punt team will come on for the Falcons.
Kevin, that was a little bit of that aggressiveness that we talked about in the opening of the show. Watch A.J. Boye squatting out here, and as he reads and reacts, he's going to sit on that ball and try to jump underneath it. You talk about closeness to the receiver, you don't get any closer than that. A.J. Boye, a fantastic job on his coverage skills.
Joe Adams back deep once again, awaiting the punt from Matt Bosher. Adams going to let that one go, and it will roll into the end zone for the touchback. And the Houston Texans will take it to the 20-yard line to get things started once again. 7-0, Houston with the lead. Texans 7, Falcons nothing. Kevin Kugler alongside Spencer Tillman. Drew Doherty down on the field. And Drew, it was a very special week around the Texans this week, wasn't it?
It really was. Around the NFL, Thursday in Houston was David Quessenberry Day. He obviously is fighting lymphoma right now, and those Texans for DQ shirts were worn by everyone on the staff, everyone not wearing pads. So the city council, the mayor here in Houston, proclaimed that Thursday, Texans for DQ Day.
Well, everybody wearing the shirts, the special shirt made at the Go Texans store and online at shop.houstontexans.com. Texans fans wearing the shirts in unity tonight. It was good to see throughout the league. Chuck Pagano had a shirt on in Indianapolis. We saw TJ Yates earlier in the week wearing the shirt. It's been nice to see the support from all around the National Football League. There's such a brotherhood amongst these guys.
You know, what are there, and this is a typical day when this is full. There's 80,000+ people here. I guarantee you that everyone has been touched by cancer in some way, and lymphoma is the cause, and it's a just one, and it's another way where sports can be an example for all those who want to contribute and help.
2nd down and 9, Savage to the air, and not much room after the catch for Keyshawn Martin. That's because William Moore was right there, and the former Pro Bowler with a good, strong tackle.
Again, want to go back to David Quessenberry. When we were talking with Chris Myers, the center for the Houston Texans, he talked about, although he's a young player, just his 2nd year in the league, how positive of an example he was and how motivated he was as a result to go out and put together this campaign for him and to raise money for cancer cures.
3rd down and 5 for Tom Savage and the Texans offense. With time, now Savage throws it short and incomplete. He felt a little pressured. Was he feeling pressure that wasn't quite as much as he thought?
And what he probably should have done was stepped up further in that pocket. Again, when you feel the pressure behind you and you step up, usually that means your tackles have done a pretty good job of pushing that external pressure away from you. Step up a little bit more and move. If you have to pull it down and run, Kevin, that's what you do.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick with a very good run earlier that kept that touchdown drive going for the Texans. Devin Hester back awaiting the Shane Leckler punt. And another dandy from Leckler. It's going to need FAA clearance as it goes to the 18-yard line. Hester dancing forward to the 23 and out of bounds. The 5-yard return and a flag down well back near the original line of scrimmage.
Holding on the kicking team. That 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. 1st down, timeout.
Timeout on the field. 6:20 remaining in this first half. Texan defense going back to work, pitching a shutout so far. 7-0 lead for the Texans. 6:20 remaining here in the first half in Houston. Kevin Kugler, Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty with you on the field all throughout tonight's game. We'll be checking Twitter to see what fans are saying about the Houston Texans. Use the hashtag Texans Preseason and you can see your tweet on the TV screen later tonight. Make sure you follow the Texans on Twitter at Houston Texans for all the latest news, behind the scenes photos, and more.
And some of my friends tweeting going on. Tom Abrams, my partner over at ABC 13, our flagship station, is doing a fantastic job of staying on top of it.
And a new quarterback on the field for the Atlanta Falcons. It is not former Texan TJ Yates. It is Sean Renfree, the youngster from Duke, who comes on first tonight for the Falcons in relief of Matt Ryan. The give to Smith on 1st down. Trying to get to the corner. He has the corner and is finally chased out of bounds just shy of the 40-yard line by DJ Swearinger.
Yeah, I think part of the reason for that change for them, and again, David Cutcliffe did such a great job with Duke and their offense last year. He wanted to see what this kid can do. I think they really are excited about his arm. They're excited about his command and what he can do. And one of the things they do special is up-tempo. So at some point in time, we could see him go no huddle or up-tempo.
Missed all of last year. He got injured in the preseason and was on IR. So this is really, in a lot of respects, his rookie year. Smith again trying to find room, and Ankra able to catch up and bring him down. Also, Justin Tuggle in there on the stop.
With Tuggle and Ankra on that play, combining to be in close proximity to the ball carrier. I mean, that's the type of aggressiveness that you're looking for, playing lateral to the line of scrimmage and playing heavy. When a guy's not able to lean forward after contact, those yak yards we often talk about, yards after contact, been pretty much non-existent with this stop unit on.
Seen a lot of Justin Tuggle tonight. His dad's in the Falcons Ring of Honor. A little fired up for this one. 3rd down and 3 at the 41-yard line. 5 on the play clock. Crowd getting into it. On 3rd and 3, Renfrey to the air, and the catch is made at the 45-yard line. A first down by a yard. Swearinger on the tackle, but the completion and a first down.
Yeah, it's going to be a first down, but the Texans are doing an excellent job of stemming to their coverage, even dropping a defender, a down lineman into the middle of the field. That's kind of like a combination coverage. It's all about confusion. We talked about that as Coach Smith looks on. The Texans' Romeo Crennel system is about disguise and confusion. And that last play, it almost cost them with the delay of game.
Vaughn with his first catch. There's Romeo Crennel.
Mike Grable to his right. Our left as we watch on, the linebackers coach. Crennel convinced him to leave Ohio State to come be a part of something special. And by today's count, his stop unit looks pretty good.
Down and 10 at the 45. Vaughn again. Stopped at the 49-yard line. 4-yard pickup. Jeff Tarpinian on the tackle for the Texans.
By the way, those two young men that we just saw a minute ago, Romeo Crennel and Mike Vrabel. Romeo, of course, has been around the league for 30-plus years, but about 6 Super Bowl rings between those two individuals right there with New England. And they were tandem then for Bill Belichick, and they still are producing.
2nd and 6. Renfrey. Vaughn and another first down to the 43 of Houston. The 2014 Houston Texans running of the Bulls 5K run presented by AGB is Sunday, September 14th at NRG Park. The 5K and Toros Kids 1K presented by Aramark will finish on the floor of NRG Stadium as fans will run through the Texans Bull Tunnel just like your favorite Texans players do on game day. Be sure to secure your spot today before prices increase on Monday. Visit HoustonTexans.com to register now. Miscommunication and a flag is down, breaking tackles and finding a little bit of room to run. Devonta Freeman, the rookie out of Florida State, but this one's coming back.
Holding number 75 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And the guy being held in that last play was merciless, and it was good to see him disrupting and being in the backfield. You're going to see him off the edge, number 59, crotch down in that 2 stance, and you're going to see Whitney Merciless, who admitted to us that, you know, it's been a lot to absorb from him from a defensive standpoint, and his confidence is now starting to come around, making an impact that play on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Now, he said yesterday when we were talking with him, he said, I need to stop thinking so much. That's not a bad thing. He wants to react and use his athleticism to disrupt like he did there. 1st and 20 at the 47. A little running room for Freeman is quickly shut down at the Texans 46 by Chris Clemens.
And Kevin, to contrast what we just saw in that last play, one of the things that Whitney's going to have to do is learn to get off blocks very, very quickly. Again, once he engages, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's very athletic, very quick. He's got to be able to disengage and make a tackle. That's the hallmark of a guy playing on the outside position for number 59, Whitney Merciless.
We asked Coach O'Brien about Whitney Merciless. He said he got better this past week.
He really did. And again, I think he knew his dauber was down a little bit, so he's going to manage him the way he needs to be to get the best out of him.
2nd and 13 at the Texans 46. Renfrey chased up, steps up, and it's incomplete. Devin Hester was the intended receiver, and Hester's been an interesting guy to watch go in and out of that wide receiver spot in his career with the Chicago Bears. Didn't have a catch last year and is probably not going to see a lot of time on the field during the season as a wide receiver.
He's getting a little long in the tooth, and really the reason why they have him here is for his return game. Hopefully he can get a couple of big ones for them in a game other than one with the Houston Texans, that's for sure. But he's dangerous no matter where you put him in the game. As a threat, you've got to honor his speed, even at his advanced age.
His best year came in 2009. He had 757 receiving yards. 3rd and 13 at the 46. Renfrey with time. Renfrey, and a flag is down. He wanted to find Jeremy Ebert, the second-year man from Northwestern. The flag came in with some contact in the defensive backfield.
A couple of things. The Texans got to do a better job of creating pressure on the quarterback. And again,
Illegal contact. Number 27 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And that contact happens because you're having to defend a guy in open space a lot longer than you really need to. The pass rush can mitigate some of that.
Josh Victorian pleading his case that he was not the individual involved in that play. But a first down at the 41-yard line. Trying to find some running room is Antone Smith, and Smith down to the 37 as we've reached the 2-minute warning. Jeff Tarpinian on the tackle for the Texans with 1:57 to go first half. Texans by 7.
Goodness.
Stay tuned for the halftime report brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the Houston Texans scratch-off game from the Texas Lottery. Maybe it's your lucky day. And we'll see more of that Texans cheerleaders calendar shoot coming up at halftime. The broadcasters calendar shoot will be during our 4th preseason game. Mark Vandermeer.
That's right. Andre
Ware.
That's right. And I heard you're on the cover, actually.
I'm not on the cover.
Kugler's cover. That's what they called it, in fact.
No. I did not bring, nor will I bring, a Speedo to any of the Texans games to pose in any calendar. You're welcome. Texans defense trying to keep the Falcons off the scoreboard in this first half. A 7-0 lead for Houston as Sean Renfrey, the first-year man out of Duke, back to work. Pressure coming. Hester trying to turn the corner, and he's ridden out of bounds. Well played all the way around by that Texans defense as Eddie Pleasant chased him out.
Yeah, Eddie Pleasant did a nice job of pushing him out, but you saw the speed of Hester on that last play, getting around that outside and still making it difficult, taking the angle away from Pleasant, although Pleasant was able to close and use the boundary as his friend. Boy, he's fast, man.
3rd down and 3 at the 34. 5 receivers for the Falcons. Renfrey hit as he throws, and it's incomplete off the fingertips of Devin Hester. And here comes the flag in very late at the end of the play. Josh Victorian out there on the coverage. DJ Swearinger nearly got to Renfrey.
Prior to the pass, holding number 35 of the defense. 5-yard penalty and automatic first down.
You talked about an emphasis this year in the National Football League.
And that's it. Again, it was Eddie Pleasant who got called for, but watch 36 coming from depth from his safety position, DJ Swearinger. Nice job of putting his hat to the shoulder as opposed to helmet, avoiding that potential penalty. But on the back end, hands by Pleasant cost him big yardage.
At the 29, first down and 10. Renfrey, pressure from the backside, and he's sacked. Renfrey is dropped. Quentin Groves nearly got him a couple of plays ago. This time he gets the sack, but a flag in the secondary on the opposite side of the field may spoil Quentin Groves' sack here.
And that just sucks the life out of you if you're Quentin Groves to be able to get to the edge and dip the shoulder and not have it paid off on the back end. You got to play team ball. It's really about creating opportunities for the folks up front. So the back end has got to help the guys out there laboring on the edges to make plays for them.
Big conversation about this flag. Let's see what Jeff Triplett has to say.
Holding number 26 of the defense. The 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
7th first half penalty against the Houston Texans.
And that was Brandon Harris who got called for. But again, watch Groves being able to beat the tackle on the far left side there, dipping his shoulder. A tremendous job of showing you how leverage can work, even though you're giving up size to a guy that's at least 50 pounds more than you are. Groves doing a nice job on that play.
Yeah, good work against the rookie, the first-round pick, Jake Matthews.
Yep, he sure did. And Jake is a talented guy, and he'll get better. But the bottom line is Groves just had him beat on the edge with speed and technique. I'm not so sure some of the elite guys that have been in the league a long time could have been successful against that edge rush.
Adjusting the clock a little bit here. 1:42 now on the clock. And a 1st and 10 for the Atlanta Falcons. Blitz comes,
nice.
And the pass incomplete. Nearly intercepted by DJ Swearinger. He jumped right in front of Levine Toilolo, the tight end, and almost going the other way.
Well, he's not afraid to take chances as DJ Swearinger. You talk about swag and confidence. 36 has it in spades. Again, you're going to see him. A little bit of pressure on, even though there's a flag. It looks like on down on the field. DJ makes a tremendous play in coverage. Coming underneath that route, almost picked it off as the officials huddle once again.
That flag came in well after the play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense. Number 36 and 27. Demonstration after the play. 50, half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And if you remember, Kevin, I mentioned this about 5 minutes ago. DJ Swearinger's got to be concerned and be careful of the demonstration penalty. These officials don't want to see that. That's not part of the temperament of this league. The league does not want to be known as a league of grandstanders and guys who are disrespectful for the shield.
So another penalty and a 1st down at the 12-yard line. Renfrey to Hester. Hester gets the block, and Hester hopping into the end zone for the touchdown.
And the difficult truth is whether or not you connect the two the previous play. In the minds of a coach, the play that precedes this is largely responsible for the success. You see, Devin Hester hadn't lost too much speed, able to move around on that slip screen to the outside to get in the end zone for the Atlanta Falcons. Tremendous job in traffic and then using that natural speed to score.
Matt Bryant will try to tie it up with the extra point. He was perfect a year ago. And the extra point is good. 66-yard drive for the Atlanta Falcons, but they got a lot of help during that drive from some Texans penalties that cost Houston dearly. And with 1:32 remaining in this first half, all tied up 7 apiece. Watch for the Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football Standout to be announced during the 4th quarter. It's your chance to win 4 Houston Texans VIP tickets to a regular season game. Stay tuned to win and start a league today at yahoo.com/fantasyfootball.
You know, those penalties are coming back to bite you. We started this game off apparently having eliminated those, and we're starting to regress now again. The same type of situations. It's not coming from the procedure on the offensive side of the ball. It's more on the back end with the defenders. So, again, Romeo Cornell's got to come back and reevaluate what they're doing back there. But I think DJ Swearinger is the guy that really is responsible for what they just experienced, including the score. I have to say that. Who knows what would have happened if you don't have that 15 yards added onto it. The screen certainly would have been the play that I would have called in that scenario that far out. So Coach Bill O'Brien's not happy about it.
How many of those penalties are we going to see lessen as we get into the regular season? An extra emphasis on the preseason call for some of that defensive holding?
I think this, what I've been told by the officials, is this is an emphasis that they want to carry over into the regular season. So this is not an aberration that you're seeing here today. This is how they're going to call it once the regular season goes.
Martin going to bring it out. Keyshawn Martin, little stutter step. And Martin across the 25 down to the 26-yard line. 30-yard return for Keyshawn Martin. And the Texans will go to work with 1:25 remaining in the first half. Now, this is not the first time these two teams have seen each other this preseason. In fact, they spent the week practicing together, something Bill O'Brien did when he was with the Patriots. Bill Belichick starting to do that a few years ago with New England. And both teams really liked this and the way it worked out for them this week.
Everybody to a man said it was good to face someone in an opposite uniform so you can let some of that frustration go and work your plan against unfriendlies in this case.
Ryan Fitzpatrick back in now to work on 2-minute offense. Fitzpatrick, Posey, and DeVere Posey to the 35-yard line. Situational time now for the Texans as Bill O'Brien uses his first time out. So Ryan Fitzpatrick may have thought his night was done. Gets to go out there one more time.
Posey with a nice move on Ishmael there inside after the catch on that particular play, and just way to move football down the field via the passing game. And again, situational football is something they worked on this week in particular. Another aspect of the game that you expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to excel at.
Second down in the yard, 2 timeouts remaining for Houston. And it's 16 to go until halftime in a tie game. And all kinds of movement up front, and it's going to cost Houston 5.
False start. Number 75 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
It's Derek Newton. Second time we've called his name tonight for the wrong reason.
Yeah, and last year he had problems with the same thing. And again, we've seen the defense kind of regress. Now we're starting to see the offensive line, unfortunately, at the left tackle position with Derek Newton's man in that spot.
Fitzpatrick with a flag down again. Fitzpatrick with a nice run. And Fitzpatrick all the way out near the 45-yard line. A gain of 15 if it holds, but that flag down right back at the line of scrimmage.
Offside. Defense, number 50. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
Spencer, we talked last week about Ryan Fitzpatrick as an underrated runner, 4th among all active quarterbacks in the National Football League in rushing yards.
Well, it's really his awareness of what's going on around him that allows him to pull it down the run. And again, always moving away from where the flow of defenders are coming from, and then having the presence of mind to get down when they're behind him.
On first down. Toss over the middle. Grimes breaks one tackle and caught from behind by Jonathan Babineau.
Grimes did a nice job of getting up the field, and the situational context here is great for number 14, Fitzpatrick. He's moving the Texans down the field exactly the way they want to.
46 seconds to go. Fitzpatrick looking deep, and that one batted away. Wachiku had a couple of steps. Robert Alford on the coverage, but Paul Warlow's pressure forced Fitzpatrick to throw it a little bit early.
And again, if Fitzpatrick had a chance to set his feet properly, Easy Wachiku was known for a lot of things. Speed, chief among them, had already beaten the defender, was wide open. Only if Fitzpatrick could have squared his shoulders to get enough underneath that pass. But a great defensive play, but Easy Wachiku getting behind the defense.
How many times in camp this year have you seen Wachiku get behind somebody?
Gosh, are you kidding me? I mean, it's like every other play. He's just got blazing speed.
3rd down and 1 with 42 seconds until halftime. Fitzpatrick flushed. Throwing on the run. Got a man open. Tiptoeing down the sideline. Keyshawn Martin out of bounds with a first down inside the 20 at the 15.
That's the mobility we're talking about here. Able to move away from the pressure. Just a heads-up play. The twin tandem package, the out and up, to turn up the field when you run out of real estate. Put that hand up. Fitzpatrick saw it, put it right on the spot for a big-time play. Excellent execution.
.34 seconds, still 2 timeouts. Back in the red zone at the 15-yard line. Fitzpatrick on the run. Grimes able to hang on with Trufant delivering a big hit. And now they'll hurry to the line and a timeout is taken with 27 seconds remaining in the first half. Texans down to 1 timeout.
The thing I like about that play,
it's a 30-second timeout,
is the speed with which Fitzpatrick got rid of that ball with Trufant closing on the receiver, put a little bit of something on it. He's not known for his big arm, but understanding the distance between the defender and his receiver, he got that ball out, put a little mustard on it,
game clock
made
to
a play.
29 seconds, 2-9.
You've got to be pleased with what you've seen in this 2-minute offense from the Houston Texans right now. You bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back off the bench, kind of cold, and he's been red hot in this drive.
One of the things we've seen at the collegiate level that has obviously extended and affected the NFL is the pace and the speed at which you go in games. I mean, most defenses now, their base are nickel pass packages. And so you're seeing 5 defenders, and when you hurry up, it adds another dimension to an offense to win games.
Ryan Griffin, the motion man. 2nd and 3 at the Falcon 8-yard line. Fitzpatrick over the middle. A flag is down at the line of scrimmage. The pass incomplete, intended for Easy Wachaku.
Easy was really working that back end line. If he could have got around that corner and Fitzpatrick did a nice job of stepping up, well, that would have been a nice pitch and catch.
The initial call was a hold against the Texans.
2 fouls on the play. 29 holding on the defense. Holding number 75 in the offense. Those penalties offset. Replay, second down.
Derek Newton with the hold on the offensive side.
Well, early and often, again, Derek just basically grabbed the edge rusher on that outside. And look, when you're out there and you got a wide 5 technique working against you, there's no way to hide. You wrap your arms around the outside of that shoulder, you're going to get called every time.
So 2nd and 3 again at the 8-yard line. Fitzpatrick under pressure to the end zone. Touchdown! DeVere Posey gives Houston the lead.
Nothing wrong with DeVere Posey's Achilles tendon. Knocking out the back half of last year, the final game against New England. Fully repaired. Nice job of sitting it down between those 2 defenders, the zone, the back end coverage for the Falcons. Nice heads up play by number 11, the former Ohio State Buckeye.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, elusiveness in the pocket, a huge key on that drive for Houston.
For a guy not to have a moniker of being athletic, one of the things that's emerging in his skill set is the ability to move one way and throw it back across his body. He does a fine job of executing and discerning the context of his situation.
And the extra point is no good. Chris Boswell locked up in a kicking battle with Randy Bullock, and the rookie from Rice with the missed extra point. The drive, 8 plays, 79 yards, 113. That's a very efficient 2-minute offense.
And that's what you want. Again, speed can be a tremendous asset. Said it a moment ago, but again, to watch the Texans execute this after not being able to have a first down, or convert rather a 3rd down, all last week in the open, this has been very impressive. And to watch DeVere Posey, another weapon, along with number 80, Johnson, when he gets healthy. And you got a bunch of weapons here. DeAndre Hopkins, all of them have to be accountable for from a defensive standpoint. Again, Fitzpatrick elusive, stepping up, across his body, throwing, but in between the zone coverage. So again, a quarterback not known for his athleticism, stepping up, good footwork, delivering between 2 defenders. And again, for a guy that's heads up to split the difference between those 2 guys, that's how you run a zone read system.
Chris Boswell trying to shake off that missed extra point. He'll kick off. Little number scooped up at the 13-yard line. Looking for a little running room is Rodgers, and he's out to the 30 with 14 seconds to play until halftime.
Well, I've been impressed with all phases. You know, as Case Keenum looks on and looks at all the quarterbacks, Savage in that powwow as well, they have performed well as a group. Coming to the line of scrimmage and discerning exactly what they're facing, making smart decisions, and in Fitzpatrick's case, executing in the 2-minute scenarios.
Falcons content to go into the locker room and talk this one over. So a very solid first half. Ryan Fitzpatrick, whose night now is certainly done, but a nice bounce back for the veteran QB in this first half.
They call him Uncle Fitz with the beard sporting. He looked pretty good. He looked well seasoned on that last series, and pretty impressive stuff.
How long would it take you to grow a beard like that?
Man, it'd take me a while. I haven't had one since college days. That was a long time ago.
That is, it's a man's beard right there. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Our Coach O'Brien interview is brought to you by Yahoo. Let's go to Drew Doherty with Coach.
All right, guys. Coach, how encouraging was that first half and the way you finish it, the way you start?
It's an improvement. You know, it's an improvement off of last week. Scored some points, played really good defense till the end there. Got some penalties. We got to take a look at those. Got to stop doing that, but it's better than last week.
What'd you see from Fitzpatrick? What'd you see from Savage?
I thought that Ryan's gone in there, and I think he had 3 drives, 2 out of 3 drives. He scored touchdowns, which, you know, you can't ask much more than that. And then Savage, you know, he's a rookie. He's going to get better every time he goes out there.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half. Guys, take it away.
Now, certainly a different tenor for this Texans squad at home as opposed to last week in Arizona. Every side getting work done tonight. And the Texans with a 13-7 halftime lead.
And by Whataburger, just like you like it.
Welcome back to Houston Texans football presented by Yahoo. Start a league today at yahoo.com/fantasyfootball. We're at NRG Stadium in Houston for the second NFL preseason matchup for your Houston Texans against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm Kevin Kugler, along with former Houston running back Spencer Tillman, with Drew Doherty on the sidelines as we take a look at the power stats. And our power stats are brought to you by Reliant. And other than the penalties, which I know Bill O'Brien addressed with Drew leaving the field, got to feel pretty good about what you've seen from Houston so far.
And the stat that really jumps out to me is the first downs and the number of second opportunities and third opportunities those bring. We talked about early in the game through the second, maybe 2 minutes into the second quarter, how there were 18 additional plays as a result of third down conversions. And I think the other thing that sticks out is the 79 total yards point differential in terms of total yards in this first half.
First half highlights, 2 big Texans touchdowns. This one from the rookie Alfred Blue.
Well, he did a nice job of running heavy with leverage underneath this pass to punch it in for his first professional touchdown, and number 44 is going to have plenty more to come. And Fitzpatrick did an excellent job of facilitating that. And then, again, when asked to move out of the pocket, avoid duress, throwing across his body, finds Demir Posey for another opportunity to score. He looks fine. So does the Achilles as well. Again, another opportunity for the Texans to score. As Coach talked about it, every time he was in the game, he delivered.
Texans will get the football to start things off here in the second half. After winning the toss and electing to defer, Matt Bosher will kick it off. Back deep for Houston. Bill O'Brien's sent Joe Adams into the end zone to return this one to start off the second half.
But he's a dangerous return guy out of Arkansas. And I'll tell you, I've seen some highlight reels from him before. We describe a lot of players different ways, and the one that's apt for him is smoke through a keyhole, because he can do it, baby, when he gets it.
He was the nation's top returner as a college senior, won the Jet Award, named after Johnny Rodgers, Johnny the Jet Rodgers.
Former Nebraska Cornhusker.
My job is to weave in as many alma mater players as I can in one broadcast.
He's a great one, man.
As Case Keenum comes on for the first time tonight at quarterback for the Houston Texans.
I'll go back old school on you.
All right.
I am hip.
Oh, one of the great walk-ons in the history of all college football.
Jarvis Redwine.
Terrific. Door number 12.
Wow, you're good.
Case Keenum going to work, looking for that 1st and 10 line. It's brought to you by Royal Purple, and that's where he needs to go with this Texans offense on first down. He's got Alfred Blue behind him. Blue on the carry, trying to find some running room. A flag comes in to start off this second half. Stacked up in the line of scrimmage, no gain, and the hold against the Texans.
10-yard penalty, first down.
And there's really no excuse for this to start the second half off. Remember last week it was the delay of game to start off the second half, and again the holding penalty. You know, you look for benchmarks. You go back and look at the film and say, hey guys, this is what we did poorly last week, and here's evidence that we did something better this week. And so far, at least in this area of penalties, that's been the bugaboo.
First down and 20. Back at the 10-yard line. With time, now flushed. Keenum tripped up from behind, and here comes another flag. Pickup of 2 to the 12-yard line. Rashid Hageman, the rookie out of Minnesota, with the tackle, and another flag down against the Texans.
You know, this is unfortunate too, because Case Keenum deserves better.
Holding number 78 of the offense. That penalty is declined. Second down.
The rookie James Ferentz out of Iowa.
Yeah, and again, a rookie mistake is affecting a guy who really, is a guy who we loved in this city. He's got great skills. He's the NCAA's all-time leading passer. He's very effective at what he does, but he needs the context and the opportunity to be right for him to succeed, and these guys can't implode on him here today.
17. That 3-yard scramble by Case Keenum. Keenum, nowhere to go. In some trouble. Steps away. Keenum then hit hard at the 12-yard line, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. Tim Dobbins was the man who hit him.
Tim hit him around the head, and again, you got to be careful about that. Case was ducking, and they're thinking about picking that up, but I think, to me, if you're going to enforce this penalty, and it's an emphasis in the league, anytime you strike the head, they're going to call it.
Personal foul, face mask, number 52 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
And the former Texan, with the penalty, the face mask gives the first down to Houston.
And you know, in his defense, it's almost intuitive and instinctive to reach out and grab a guy to make a play. And then Case, being athletic as he is and being a shorter guy, and he ducks down, and that hand right on top of the helmet, man, it's kind of tough to avoid.
So a penalty going the Texans' way, and the first down for Case Keenum and company. Blue picked his way through the left side, and he takes it to the 31-yard line. 4-yard gain before driven back. It'll be 2nd and 6. Dobbins again in on the play for Atlanta.
And look, this is not part of the play, but when your guy gets thrown back like that, I kind of like to see some of the offensive linemen rally around him. And again, you're not looking to get a penalty or anything, but it really helps establish the identity of a team that's physical, going to protect its own. And I think that's what this team needs right now.
Second down and 6. Play action. Keenum flips it out towards midfield, and it's caught at midfield and out of bounds. Good throw and a good catch by Travis Labhart, who's had a solid camp this fall, and he makes a big play for the first down.
Talk about the mobility of Case Keenum, reversing out. Again, the stretch play to sell it. 2 levels, actually 3 receivers, and he finds a nice little window in that zone coverage of the Falcons, and Case lifts that arm up and just plants it right between the safety and the cover man underneath. Beautiful execution on that play by Case Keenum.
Nice footwork by the rookie on the sidelines, Labhart. Now Martin with a block and a first down. Keyshawn Martin scoots forward before Javier Arenas could get him. He'll move the chains at the Falcons 39.
Case moving the chains and some of that Kevin Sumlin-esque screen, wide screen X work there. Nice job of getting in open space. Keyshawn Martin getting extra yardage, helping his quarterback out.
And Easy Wachaku doing a little work downfield with block.
Yeah, how about that?
Screen to the other side for Martin. Got a block again. Keyshawn Martin with another first down. Wachaku and Labhart leading the way on the edge with the block. Desmond Southward on the tackle, but another first down.
So I give both Case and Bill O'Brien credit for this, because he's now allowing Case to play within the system and the style that he excels at. One style that made him the NCAA's all-time leading passer.
Screen again to Martin. Southward chasing him down from behind, and this time just a 2-yard gain.
And you know, Kevin, this is what good coaching is about. You know, good coaching and selfless coaching is being able to assess what it is a guy can do, whether it's offensively or defensively, and be willing to put something in a system, in a package, a sub-package, that allows him to thrive. It doesn't matter if it's not what you do as a head coach, it's what this guy is able to do physically.
I like the idea of getting Martin on the edge and getting him out there to work in space.
I bet.
The yards up the middle for the newest Houston Texan, Ronnie Brown, getting our first look at the signee who joined the squad this week.
Former #1 draft pick, 2nd overall, I believe, Miami Dolphins, and mature player. They got him in here for a couple of reasons. Chief among them, he's less likely to make the kinds of mistakes that got one of the Texans fired last week, and it's good to see Ronnie Brown here in a Texans uniform.
3rd down and 5 at the 22. Keenum with time over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Ryan Griffin, who was pretty well covered out there by the Falcons. Had 2 guys on him. Keenum trying to lead him to the end zone, couldn't connect.
Yeah, Ryan did a nice job, though, of getting the first guy that was covering the linebacker in his hip pocket. He was trying hard to get flat enough to come across, to come open for Case. Case threw it where he needed to throw it, but again, not enough speed to separate between the defender behind him and the guy over the top in coverage. But he had a notion, did number 7.
Now an opportunity in the kicking battle. Chris Boswell missed an extra point earlier. Here's Randy Bullock on for a 40-yard field goal try, and Bullock splits the uprights And the third-year man out of Texas A&M puts 3 more on the board for the Houston Texans with 10:20 to go in the third. Texans by 9. The scoreboard this quarter brought to you by your Houston area Mazda dealers. A 16-7 lead for the Texans. 10:20 remaining in the third quarter. Nice drive engineered by Case Keenum. And Houston with 3 more on the board. The 9-point lead. And have we seen a slight lead taken tonight in the battle to be the kicker for the Houston Texans?
Well, it depends on how you're measured. And in terms of moving the team down the field, certainly Case did an excellent job of that.
And a foot out of the back of the end zone for Bernard Reedy as he started to make his move, and he forgot that he's got to stay in bounds. So the rookie mistake puts the Falcons at the 20. Show you more home tailgating photos emailed from our fans to fanpics at HoustonTexans.com. Happy Texans fan tonight. A lot of them are happy with a 16-7 lead. Show off your Houston Texans pride for a chance to appear on the broadcast, and keep sending your fan photos to fanpics at HoustonTexans.com. A lot of happy Texans fans tonight. What a difference a week makes, even in the preseason. Houston Texans looking awfully good so far, as on first down, bouncing to the edge, Devonta Freeman. And not much room to run against that Texans defense. Well, we are very pleased to have with us the owner of the Houston Texans, Mr. Bob McNair, joining us in the broadcast booth. And just talking, Mr. McNair, about what a difference a week makes. 32-0 last week. Now another week of practice, and the Houston Texans looking awfully good tonight.
It's amazing. We actually look like a football team.
You could certainly say that, and they do look like a very good football team tonight. 2nd down and 9, and trying to hold them short of the first down, about a yard shy. It'll be a 3rd and short. And you had some great news that you announced a couple of weeks ago after a 10-month battle with cancer. You were thrilled to announce, we were thrilled to hear that you are cancer-free.
Yeah, I'm delighted, and I'm so privileged to live in Houston, where we have such wonderful medical services available to us. And MD Anderson people did a marvelous job for me, and I appreciate them very much. But the message is, if you have a problem, deal with it. There are people out there that can help you. Don't ignore it. Don't think it'll go away if you ignore it. That won't happen.
Bob, the difficult question I ask you, courage is not the absence of fear, it's the acknowledgement of it, but the willingness to move ahead anyway. And that seems to me also another message that you put forth. You faced it head on, and you're standing, and we're grateful, and the city is as well, that you're still standing with us.
Well, thank you. As I've said, we have a lot of work to do. We haven't won a Super Bowl, and that's our challenge and our goal, and that's what we're going to do. And I need to be around here for a while to do that. I don't think it'll happen overnight.
Well, we appreciate you, and I personally appreciate you. And I tell you, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I've been around a lot of cities, played professionally in San Francisco and other cities. This is a special man here, a special owner. We're privileged, and the city of Houston is privileged to have you.
Well, you're very, very kind. Thank you so much.
Flag down, so that may result in extra yardage, some contact in that secondary here, as Houston with a 16-7
illegal
lead.
contact. Number 34, the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And a flag on A.J. Boye, and again that emphasis on contact in the secondary this year. And Houston with a 16-7 lead, 8:20 remaining in the third quarter. And a 1st and 10 coming up for the Atlanta Falcons. Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans, joining us here for a moment in this third quarter. And while we watch this team continue to grow under head coach Bill O'Brien, I want to talk a little football for a moment. What was it about Coach O'Brien that drew you to him and drew him to you in the process of getting a new head coach here in Houston?
Well, number one, I think he's a very smart coach, and this game becomes more and more complex. As you know, it's a different game, right?
It is.
And so you got to have smart people, and I think there hadn't been enough emphasis placed on that in the past. But in the league, and I'm not talking about our club, but he's a very smart guy, and I loved what happened at the end of the first half, because we practice that sort of thing, the special situations. You have the ball on the 30-yard line, there's a minute 34 to go, you have one timeout or two, you're behind 2 points, or you're behind 6, and you need a field goal or you need a touchdown. And he does that over and over again. So when you get in that situation, the team is not overly excited or feeling under pressure because they've done it so much. And I thought that Fitzpatrick showed a lot of poise, and the team did, the way they moved the ball down the field and kept their cool, and they were very poised.
Bobby, you are correct. You know, I spent a lot of time on the college side as well, and I've watched for the first time in the NFL's history how the college game is actually influencing the NFL at this level, multiple offenses and so forth. But one of the things this offense does, it has a solution for every scenario you're going to face. If you have a quarterback smart enough, you can do it. And I think Bill is a great example of a head coach that understands that.
Renfrey on the move, pressure coming once again, and he has to throw it away. On the previous play, we saw great heat coming from Whitney Merciless. This time the heat provided, among others, by Ricardo Matthews, and that pressure coming from all sides, and the youngster Sean Renfrey not real sure where to go right now.
Well, we said at the beginning of the show that Romeo Crennel's style of 3-4 is predicated on deception more than anything else. Now, some 3-4s, it's about man-to-man coverage like we had last year, a lot of pressure, individual man-on-man coverage behind you, but it left you vulnerable. This particular case, it puts pressure on the quarterback to disearn the coverage schemes, and oftentimes it's too late to have a successful outcome from the offensive standpoint.
3rd down and 12 for Renfrey and the Falcons, and another big stick leveled. We have seen some huge hits tonight. That hit coming from Max Bulla, the rookie out of Michigan State, and it'll stop the Falcons short of a 1st down.
Well, when he was playing for Pat Narduzzi, the defensive coordinator of Michigan State, this is the types of plays that we often saw him make. Bullet with a nice job of getting leverage. Low man wins those battles every single time. And again, the Texans just showing some physical play. That's what's going to define this defense this year.
And now that Texans defense forcing another punt. Mr. McNair, we certainly appreciate you coming in, having a chance to chat with you, and we're certainly grateful that you got the diagnosis that you did after the 10-month battle of cancer. We wish you many, many years of health and happiness and some wins along the way for the Houston Texans.
Thank you. I think we're going to have an exciting season, and you know, as we've said with our quarterback play, we just need to have adequate performance. We don't need a superstar there. And with what Coach O'Brien's putting together, and with Crennel's defense, I think that we'll be competitive, and as long as you're competitive, you've got a chance to win, and I think we'll have exciting games.
No question about it. Mr. McNair, thank you so much. 16-7, Texans with the lead. 16-7, Texans with the lead. 6:17 remaining 3rd quarter. Kevin Kugler, Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty with you from Houston. The next Houston Texans home game on August 28th is Texans Care Day, celebrating the great work our fans, partners, and players do in the community. You can get involved by making a $10 donation right now at HoustonTexans.com. One generous fan will win the opportunity to go on field for the coin toss at the 49ers game, plus tickets, parking, and pregame sideline passes. Make a donation today, and you could win big. Pat Anger on the tackle for the Falcons after a pickup of a couple for Ronnie Brown. That starts this possession for Case Keenum and the Houston Texans. A lot to build on tonight, and a lot of positive momentum so far, despite the penalties. And I know that's one thing that Coach O'Brien will address yet again, but there's been a lot more to talk about from a positive standpoint for his team going into the next week against Denver.
You never want to project that it's not a concern, but all of those are correctable. It's not like you're dealing with an injury or something that you're going to have to deal with for the season long. These are correctable mistakes.
2nd down and 8 at the 17. Keenum with time. Keenum with an open receiver and a 1st down. Wachaku out to the 28-yard line. 11-yard pickup on the play.
Easy did a nice job on that little pivot route to come back underneath to give himself a chance. Again, not a lot of pressure, just a 4-man rush, so it's not a blitz. Case did a nice job of settling down, and Easy not able to let that speed get on the outside for a bigger play.
The 28-yard line. On 1st down, Ronnie Brown the carry. Met in the backfield and driven back. Good penetration by the Atlanta Falcons, and really nowhere to go for Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie's being smart as a runner, though. Again, a 9-year guy who knows, as a former 1st-round draft pick, 2nd player overall, not to turn a bad play into a worse play by trying to get cut loose and make something happen and risk losing the ball. He just took what he had and tried to make something happen. As Mike Grable, the linebackers coach, deals with his charges down there in the power.
Linebacker Tyler Starr got that penetration to throw off that run play. 2nd and 11. And that one behind one tight end and almost into the hands of the other. Zach Potter had a chance to get that one after it was a little behind Ryan Griffin.
That was an interesting zone combination and the route combination. Again, it was almost a two-bagger there. Tipped off one player's hands and another one, both tight ends to that side, Potter. And watch this ball. I mean, it looks like both of them had a shot at it at one point. It's an interesting route combination. It's like something you'd see on the collegiate level, but it's probably why number 7's in the game and he's got it in his arsenal.
3rd down and 11 at the 27. The motion man is Alec Lemon. Keenum to Lemon. Lemon, 1st down and more. Lemon across midfield and into Falcons territory. Alec Lemon, who missed all of last year with a hamstring injury, showing a little speed up the middle to the 48 of Atlanta and a 1st down.
Alec, no lemon on that play, man. He was a sweet, nice little in route where he took advantage of the zone coverage, and Case did a nice job of finding the equal distance between the coverage and placing the ball right there for completion. Nice game.
25-yard pickup for Lemon and the Texans. Ronnie Brown in some trouble. That play kind of ugly all the way around. Rashid Hageman on the stop.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was miscommunication between either Ronnie, being the new kid on the block, so to speak, the old veteran, but Case came out of that stretch play like he was hesitating. There was a little bit of a hitch there, and like Ronnie didn't know, and he's tapping his shoulder pad to say, hey, that's me, that's on me. So it looks like it was Ronnie Brown's fault in the stretch play.
The function perhaps of only being here for a few days. 2nd and 11 at the Atlanta 49. Brown again. And Brown upended in the backfield once more by Kamal Ishmael, the rookie from Central Florida.
Bill O'Brien is trying to see how much Ronnie still has left in the tank. He's run him on several stretch plays and see how he deals with, number one, being able to get to the edge if necessary, but also being able to get vertical and get whatever yardage is there. That's going to be a very big role in whether this team can sustain leads, because the game plan totally changes when you are trying to protect a lead.
3rd down and 13 back at the Texans' 49-yard line. Blitz picked up. Labhart with the catch. Labhart with a 1st down. The pressure came, but the Texans picked it up. Robert McLean on the tackle, but not before Travis Labhart moves the sticks with a 1st down.
Case did an excellent job of turning front side. Watch his eyes, front side, and then stay to the front side and get the nice route underneath. And it was just a great job. Case zeroed in on his target and stayed there. Typically, you like to see him go through a progression. No need to because of the pressure package. He went with the uncovered guy.
15-yard pickup. And now an empty backfield for Case Keenum.
Just like Bula Bula, college time.
4-man rush. Ronnie Brown with the catch. Ronnie Brown a 9-yard gain to the 27-yard line.
How about that? Empty the backfield, put the running back in the formation, get 5 guys out there, and that puts stress on a package on the back end if it's not a nickel package. I like the fact that he came to the veteran running back as a first option in that play. It's nice.
Ronnie Brown and Bill O'Brien have a little history. Bill O'Brien, when he was at Georgia Tech, recruited Ronnie Brown, or at least tried to get him to Georgia Tech. Didn't succeed there, but he recruited him to Houston about a decade later. 2nd and 1, and a nice fingertip grab by Travis Labhart. Case Keenum and Travis Labhart hooking up several times on this drive.
Yeah, and both of them just picking this zone defense apart. And again, Labhart stuck those hands out there. He's got to be careful. I think he was cognizant of the fact that it was a defender to his flank. But you got to really be wise, and Case has got to do just a tad better job of putting that ball right in his numbers as opposed to stretching him out there, because there is a defender in the zone package on that outside shoulder.
Labhart's a great story, going from a practice player on the women's basketball team to trying to make an NFL roster in the span of 4 years. Keenum, and that's incomplete. Wachaku didn't see it, and the pass drops to the turf.
You're going to unpack that one for me now. I want to hear more about that story now.
So Labhart wasn't playing football. He was on the women's basketball team. He was a practice player.
Wow.
Then in his final year, had every catch in his football career. He didn't have a catch before last season. You saw the numbers: 51 receptions, 626 yards, 8 touchdowns. Those were all in his 1 year of Texas A&M football. So you go from a practice player on the women's basketball squad to trying to make an NFL roster.
I love it.
On the ground to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 2, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 8. That might be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Case Keenum undoes the chin strap and then heads to the sideline. That would be a pretty good indicator that it will indeed be the final play of the 3rd quarter.
But it's been methodical and successful. You know, if not impressive in terms of plays, you have a couple of 25-yard plays. Was pretty impressive. I thought Case did a nice job.
He's led the Texans to 3 points in his stint. Looking for some more as we've reached the end of 3 quarters. Some pretty good defense and just enough offense. The end of the 3rd quarter, the Texans lead it 16-7. The Texans TV network will continue from Houston after these messages. Start of the 4th quarter, Houston with a 16-7 lead over Atlanta. Kevin Kugler, Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty with us on the sidelines tonight, and game 2 of the preseason going to leave Texans fans feeling a lot better, at least to this point, than they did last week as we left Phoenix.
I would think so, Kevin. I think the only thing that's a concern are those flags, and those are the correctable things. Of the 3 items that we talked about at the top of the show, those flags are probably the easiest of the 3 to correct.
3rd down and 8 at the 22-yard line as we start the 4th quarter here in Houston. Blitz again, picked up, and the pass is going to be deflected, and it's intercepted. Picked off on the deflection. He's running, but they're going to call him down, and the interception by Kamal Ishmael will give the Falcons the football back near their own 3-yard line. So Case Keenum with the turnover inside the 5. Atlanta football when we return. At the interception by Kamal Ishmael that ended, or so we thought, the final moments of that Houston Texans drive. Case Keenum throwing the pick over the middle, and the rookie with the interception. They're looking at it once more, and I know, Spencer, you've had a chance to look at it. Does he maintain possession of that ball through the ground?
Well, to me, it doesn't look like it, but unless it has been ruled that way, they can't overturn it unless it's indisputable. And usually for me, the rule is 60 seconds or more. If he's underneath that curtain for more than that time, the play is going to be either really just trying to figure out where it's going to be placed. It's going to be overturned. So, you know, typically that's usually the ruling. So if they're taking a lot of time to look at it, they may be overturning this.
Mike Smith looking on from that Falcons sideline. If it stays as called on the field, it was ruled an interception. If it stays as ruled, it'll be Atlanta football at the 2-yard line. Seen a lot of things tonight from the Houston Texans that Bill O'Brien's going to like moving forward. Ryan Fitzpatrick, certainly one of those. 25 yards rushing. He was 9 for 12 for 97 yards and a touchdown through the air.
Pretty impressive. And I'm going to go on a limb here, and again, this is a big risk, but to me, there is refutable evidence relative to that being an interception.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Wow.
They could not confirm it to their liking, but they'll say it stands.
Yeah, I mean, from our angle, and this is a beautiful angle by our crew, it appears to me that the elbow's down, but the ball is not in control. That ball touches the turf there to me. I mean, I clearly see it from this angle. I'm not sure if they have the same angle that we do, but that ball looks like it absolutely touches. So I know it's a bang-bang play, but that's a tough call.
TJ Yates in now at quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and he hands off to Freeman, who picks up a couple. The tackle made by Chris McAllister. And TJ Yates, the former Houston Texan, in his first year with the Falcons, and battling with Sean Renfrey to be the backup to Matt Ryan. 2nd down and 8 for Atlanta, deep in their own end. Yates from his end zone. Pass deflected away by Josh Victorian. Stepped in front of that one, and Victorian able to swat it away from Geraldo Boldevine.
Josh Victorian squatted and set on that ball. He's playing out there, turning those hips and running. If I were him again, I wish I had another opportunity to take that one to the house, because if he plays it the way he did, which is extremely well, he can set that right hand up, bat it to himself, and he's in the house. He hits his head on the goalpost on that one. I tell you, that's just a missed opportunity. He's going to wish he had that one back.
The numbers for T.J. Yates in his time in a Houston uniform. 3rd down and 8 from the 4. Yates under pressure, hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. That pocket collapsed on top of Yates. Wormsley was there to get to him along with Lawrence Sidbury, and the Falcons will have to punt.
Wormsley and Sidbury working an inside games and deal where they're switching arm over underneath, creating pressure on the quarterback. TJ under duress from the moment. Didn't have a chance to complete that pass. Tremendous job by the interior line of the Houston Texans.
Matt Bosher to punt once more. Labhart, the deep man now for Houston. That one partially blocked. Flag is down near the line of scrimmage. Scooped up as it'll go into the end zone. Jonathan Grimes taking it into the end zone. The flag is down. Anthony Denham with the block. We'll wait and see what the officials have to say.
Irrespective heads-up play by Grimes. It's
Illegal formation. Kicking team, number 90, was not on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
So Denham with the block, Grimes with the score, and it's 22-7 Texans.
And I was saying, irrespective of the flag, it was a heads-up play by Grimes. The ball clearly was partially blocked, but Grimes with the presence of mind to scoop it up and score. Grimes understood the ball was behind the line of scrimmage, actually in front of the line of scrimmage, but tipped nonetheless, which means it's live. And he took it to the house and scored. That's a tremendous heads-up play by Grimes.
And I believe it was Denham who came back and got the block.
It was.
At the edge to clear Grimes. So he did it all except score the touchdown.
And when they get together, they'll watch the tape as a group first, and then teams will break out. They will talk about that play, and they'll underscore, talking about a player having his head in the game to make an impact in the game. That changes the complexion of how the Texans need to play the rest of the way out.
Will look good on the extra point, and Houston in command. A 23-7 lead, 13:53 remaining in the 4th. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you in HD by Xfinity. Offense, defense, and special teams all coming through tonight for the Houston Texans, and a 23-7 lead. Bob Ligashevsky feeling awfully good about his special teams right now. From 3 yards deep, trying to find some running room. Not a lot there for Bernard Reedy, the rookie out of Toledo. The tackle by William Powell, another new Texan. 16-point lead for Houston. 23-7 Texans, 13:48 to play here in Houston. Kevin Kugler, Spencer Tillman, Drew Doherty back with you. Watch for the Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football Standout. We'll announce it during this final quarter. It's your chance to win 4 Houston Texans VIP tickets to a regular season game. Stay tuned to win and start a league today at yahoo.com/fantasyfootball. This play, Yates looking for the corner, trying to find some running room to the 26-yard line. Josh Vaughn, tackled by Akeem Dent.
Well, that's an old-fashioned student body right. Looked like an old USC player. Just toss that thing and run downhill at you. And that's really fallen into the pattern of what Bill O'Brien wants his defense to be, and that is a tough physical team. And he wants that to be this team's identity on both sides of the ball.
Higgins, the man in motion, the fullback. Vaughn trying to pick his way forward, and he's going to be very close to the first down. Host of Texans in there to make the stop. Austin Brown, the rookie from Miami of Ohio, in there first.
Wormsley was in there as well. I just like the way the Texans are knifing in there on these plays for these short gainers that they're keeping the Falcons restricted to.
Julius Wormsley, another great story, came in during rookie minicamp on a tryout. Got offered a contract with his performance there. Now trying to make this squad out of Tulane. 3rd down and short. And Vaughn driven back after he has first down yardage to the 30-yard line.
Wormsley again on that play, again to the front side of that play, did a little crab technique to get in the backfield, and just the presence of mind just to be able to disrupt the way he has been really impressive. And Sid Berry in on that play as well.
From the 30-yard line, TJ Yates in the shotgun. Four-man rush for the Texans. The short pass caught. Nope, incomplete now, the ruling. It hit the turf out of the hands of Mickey Schuler.
And again, you know, I'm watching the game inside of the game, and I'm watching Wormsley commanding a double team on that last play. And again, anytime you start absorbing more than one blocker, it tells you that you're being disruptive. And so, you know, it doesn't show up when we're sitting here talking about it, but I tell you, when they get back and they look at that tape, they're going to notice. Wormsley doing a fantastic job for this stopping.
Big moments for guys like him. This fourth quarter trying to show and have a chance to make a squad. Schuler with the catch, and Mickey Schuler out near the 40-yard line, right at the sticks and close to the first down.
And he knows he has tremendous competition. Jared Crick again was the guy that they penciled in there in that spot at the right defensive end spot. So there are a lot of bodies vying for that position.
Our 1st and 10 line this quarter brought to you by First Community Credit Union. Another 1st and 10 here for the Atlanta Falcons. Toss play, speed to the corner. Freeman, and Freeman with another first down. Boy, he showed a burst out of that backfield down at the 45-yard line of the Houston Texans, a 15-yard pickup.
Freeman really did, and I thought Max Bullock was going to be able to come underneath that, but again, the speed of Freeman even just limited that path that Bullock took to get to him and just erased that corner. The speed of Freeman to get to the edge was just impressive.
First Florida State running back, Devonta Freeman, since work done to hit the 1,000-yard mark.
Pretty good company there now.
Straight drop for Yates. Airing it deep. Got a man open and off the fingertips of Julian Jones, the rookie out of Arkansas State. Yates knows it. Andre Howell was a step behind, and that one just off the fingertips of Jones would have been 6.
You're not going to be in very many man-to-man situations in this scheme, but when you are, you better not get beat from behind, particularly when you have no help over the top. Again, Howell just knows that he's lucky right there, and that's the type of play that gets a lot of attention that you don't want to have in film session as well.
Yeah, there's good attention, and then there's that attention.
That's right.
Jerome Smith is the running back.
Timeout.
And a timeout.
Atlanta, their first.
10:50 remaining in the fourth quarter. Houston with a 23-7 lead in Game 2 of the preseason.
Kevin, it's a numbers game. Protection last week. Dennis Johnson no longer with the team, in no small part because of this lack of a quality decision. No real threat outside. He has no business getting caught behind the tackle. The inside linebacker comes and then smacks Savage in the end zone. You need to have situation. Now enter tonight. Here's how you take care of coverage. You leave that guy on the inside for the big left guard, and then if you're Ronnie Brown, the veteran player, tags the tackle to the left and just make sure the widest rusher does not get to him. That's why he's here. That's the difference between a second and third year player and a widely veteran.
Bill O'Brien telling us this week that Ronnie Brown, through practice, been stoning guys in pass protection. Yates with time. Flag is down in the secondary, and the pass deflected away from Jerome Smith. Had to go short, couldn't get it past Andre Howell. And now the flag in the secondary.
Prior to the pass, holding number 91, the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Lawrence Sidbury.
And to pick up on your point just a moment ago about Ronnie Brown stoning people, he's able to do that because he's confident. As you know, Ronnie Brown is the type of player that is smart enough, and when you make quality decisions, you put yourself in a position to make the kind of plays that saves quarterbacks from the shots that we saw last week.
We've seen a couple of times tonight Ronnie Brown with good blitz pickup. The pass is short, and Higgins down the sideline with a first down near the 22-yard line, or rather the 27-yard line. They'll mark him out of bounds there, and a first down. Lawrence Sidbury chasing out Maurice Higgins.
Sidbury is going to need to take a better angle when he comes and chases down the guy, particularly when you know you're giving up the type of speed that you will. That was a very poor angle by Sidbury. He should have flattened out in a hurry to try to mitigate those yardage after the catch.
Higgins is a big man. He gets that momentum going. Little burst of speed now on the outside, and the tackle by Max Bulla before really much could happen for Devonta Freeman.
And this is part of the game, and I really like to watch guys' body language. You know, you got about 9 minutes or so. You got a big, significant lead. Let me see who's still aggressive. Let me see whose head is still in the game. Let me see who still wants to make this deep.
Toss play, Freeman. Freeman behind some blocks. Nice little cutback. Flags are down. Freeman won't go down. He's into the end zone for the touchdown. But Laundry near the 20.
Tell you that Freeman hell-bent for election, man. He's trying to score big time. That's what you like to see.
Holding number 16 to the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Well, he's a fourth-round pick, but he's playing like a guy who is an undrafted free agent trying to make a team.
And that to me is really what this is all about. Everybody has a narrative. Everybody has a story. You don't know personally what a guy's going through. I remember when I came in the league, I had wife and kids. I was married in college, and I brought an attitude to it. It was really a zero-sum proposition for me. I didn't have an option. So you play a little bit differently. And whereas you may have been a star at the collegiate level, I had to wind up playing more special teams initially to make the roster, and then you settle into your role and become a pretty good third-down guy. But, this is a league that's unforgiving. You make it any way you can.
2nd and 14 at the 31. Yates under pressure, and Yates is sacked. Lawrence Sidbury got him from behind, and it'll bring up a third down.
He's the type of guy that you cheer for because he understands, a guy of faith. It's just really cool to see those kind of reactions because you know where the guy's core values are. The arm over and underneath the rip to get past the tackle trying to block him. Sidbury with a nice combination move there to get to the quarterback.
Former 4th-round draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons, 2009.
We do well against the teams we were once drafted by, right? That's how that works.
3rd and 16 at the 33. Blitz coming. Flag down, and Yates trying to get rid of it before the pressure got to him. Eddie Pleasant a step away from a sack as Yates just flipped it incomplete.
Holding number 69 of the offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Harlan Gunn, who played at the same high school as Amon Green and Gale Sayers in Omaha, Nebraska.
Speaking of Gunn, it was Pleasant that looked like he was shot out of a cannon as he worked his way. Look at the speed to get to the quarterback and a hand on him. Tremendous effort by Pleasant working his way interior of that Falcon line.
Now you've got a long field goal try coming for the Atlanta Falcons. Waiting to get this one set before Matt Bosher gets down for the hold. Looking like a 51-yard try, and that's because it is a 51-yard try. Matt Bryant's long last year was 53. His career long 62 in 2006.
Substitution issue.
Need one more guy on the field. From 51 for Matt Bryant. And it's blocked. A punt block and a field goal block. Jawanza Starling got this one for the Texans.
Always got to account for the jumper. Here's the thing you know about it. As Coach Smith looks on, he's not happy about it. It's about the trajectory of the ball. It's low liner because it's so far to go. Made it possible for the block.
One more look from the outside. Victorian and Starling got there. Starling with the fingertip block. 23-7 Texans, and our scoreboard this quarter brought to you by Papa John's. The scoreboard doesn't reflect everything we've seen tonight because we've seen some terrific special teams work from the Houston Texans. A blocked punt and a blocked field goal. Texans season tickets for 2014 are all sold out. Make sure you're part of the action in 2015 by joining the season ticket priority wait list now. Visit HoustonTexans.com for more information. Case Keenum back to work, and incomplete looking for Joe Adams. Final 8:34, and you're one of those guys, Spencer Tillman, that's out there on the field right now trying to impress the coaches, trying to figure out a way to make this team, because that's what a lot of these guys are out there right now. But are you also showing something for another team if you're not on the Houston Texans? Maybe they see something they like here as well?
Great point. We'll unpack it after this play, but you nailed it right there.
From the 41, and a little stutter step for William Powell, his first carry in a Texans uniform. And we'll talk more about these guys making the team in a moment, but Drew is standing by with a guy who I think is going to make this team.
Yes, we all recognize number 99. First things first, you didn't play tonight. You're all right, right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We had a good week of practice. You know, 2 practices against the Falcons, and try and treat every practice like a game. So it's like you had a couple games during the week. So it was a good week of practice.
Yeah, it's a different situation for you. You're on the sidelines watching. What's different this week with the defense? What have you seen?
We've been playing well. You know, I think one of the biggest things we didn't do well in the first week was get off the field on 3rd down. I think we've done a little bit better job of that today, and I think we've played well overall. And so it's cutting back on penalties is a big thing. So we're working on that as well.
No doubt. Last thing, a lot of mismatches potentially down the line for you guys. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney looked like a carbon copy of stuff we've seen you do here the last few years. And Brian Cushing's coming back soon. That's got to get you guys enthused, doesn't it?
We love playing defense, and we love playing fast, physical, tough defense. So we're very much looking forward to that opportunity. Obviously, JD has some nice plays out here, so we're hoping he can carry those over, and obviously excited to get back out there and get us all on the field at the same time because that defense is fun to think about.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, JJ. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Drew.
All right, well, certainly exciting for Texans fans to think about with 99 and 90 out there on the field at the same time. That youngster showed something tonight. 23-7 Houston. With the lead, 7:38 remaining, 4th quarter here in Houston. Don't miss the biggest kickoff game in the country as LSU and Wisconsin square off at NRG Stadium in the Advocare Texas kickoff on Saturday, August 30th at 8 p.m. Visit AdvocareTexasKickoff.com to secure your seats before they're gone. Alfred Blue versus J.J. Watt.
I'm going to be looking for Leonard Fournette, the sensational running back out of LSU.
Catch made by Powell, or rather by Freeman across the 20 to the 21-yard line before Julius Wormsley could make the stop. A first down, an 11-yard pickup for Atlanta.
Back to that game, that's a SEC Big Ten matchup. I mean, that's a pretty big matchup, and Whiskey's always going to put a significant team out there in LSU. Again, always a contender in the tough SEC West.
Gary Anderson, a nice start to his Wisconsin run as head coach. They've got a talented backfield there in Wisconsin. Pass in the air, juggled, tipped, and caught. Boy, what a catch by Julian Jones, the rookie from Arkansas State. They'll say he's inbounds, and it's a catch at the Texans' 41-yard line.
If nothing else, he gets credit and kudos for his concentration. The ball up in the air. Again, he never loses a track on the ball, but you can see as that ball is touched, it's bounced up. He remains visual and in his eyesight. Tremendous effort.
Interception by Andre Howell. Howell breaks the Yates tackle, and he's going to take it to the house. Touchdown, Texans! There's a flag down at the 23-yard line in the midst of the Andre Howell return, but the 7th-round pick taking it to the house.
That's good stuff right there, man.
Andre Howell, 2nd-team All-SEC at Vanderbilt, and a 65-yard interception return for a touchdown as we wait on the flag.
What made that play possible is Howell's eyes always stayed focused on the quarterback. He set on that route from the jump street when it was snapped, and he never really took his eyes off of it.
After the score, unsportsmanlike conduct. Return team, a 15-yard penalty may be administered on the kickoff.
And of all the penalties tonight, that may be one Bill O'Brien doesn't mind as much. They were pretty excited.
Well, again, look, it was a great play, and after this team only had a total of 7 interceptions all last year, this is what they need to manufacture more of. It was a great read on an outcut. He undercut it, did Howell, and just took it to the house. That's worthy of celebrating, and Bill's going to let that one slide, I think.
Now on for the extra point is Chris Boswell, who missed one earlier, and he misses a second extra point. And the rookie out of Rice having a rough night in the battle to become the place kicker for the Houston Texans.
That's not good. You know, you like to see the hometown kid do well, and you don't miss extra points in this league very often.
29-7 Houston with 6:46 to go, and Andre Howe getting congratulations all around after the 65-yard interception return for the touchdown. Your Houston Texans take on the Denver Broncos next Saturday night at 8. Catch all the action live from Denver right here on Texans TV on ABC 13.
Texans going to get out there a little bit early, kind of duplicate what they did this week with the Falcons, get some one-on-one stuff in the high thin air of Colorado.
They'll arrive on Monday, and it may be our broadcast next week. Our broadcast will be the same for you, me and Drew, but it may look a little different than your average third preseason game because they're going to do like they did this past week with the Falcons, have some pretty aggressive practices with the Denver Broncos that may take the place in some areas of some guys' reps in a normal third preseason game.
Yeah, and there's typically, you know, the relationship that facilitates that, make that happen. Of course, you know, Rick Smith, the general manager for the Houston Texans, was with Denver Broncos for a long time, and they're going to be, you know, more than just a little bit of a thud for those couple of days. They're going to try to let these players identify who they are in an effort to make themselves better. You may wind up finding some players who are released from Texas and Denver, and the alternate may be true as well.
Reedy on the return, and Reedy popped at the 37-yard line by Marcus Williams. 27-yard return, and here comes the late flag once more. A little bit chippy out there. Some jawing going on back and forth. And remember, these guys have, this is not just one day in a game. They've been around each other all week long.
Absolutely. You know, there's an old expression that familiarity breeds contempt, and that's exactly what's taken place this week. We had more than a couple of scuffles, and I know Bill O'Brien doesn't really like that much. He said we don't have time for those. But I'm telling you, man, if you're facing somebody in opposite uniform long enough, there's going to be some moments where you're not really interested.
Play is over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Return team number 45 with a taunt. The 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's the inherent nature of the game, man. It's physical, and tempers will flare, and you're going to get an occasional scuffle.
Maurice Higgins with the taunt, backing him up 15 yards. 6:39 to play in this fourth quarter, and a date with Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos beckoning next week for the Houston Texans. Always enjoy going out to Denver. Be a nice test for this Texans squad, not only the game but all week long in those practices.
You know, I just think from confidence standpoint, you know, how much they'll get a chance to compete. It'll be a controlled situation clearly with Peyton and both quarterbacks involved. But to me, the confidence, and we've talked to Dwayne Brown and Chris Myers and other players, where does confidence come from? Well, it comes from demonstrated ability. And when you can demonstrate it against, like they have the Falcons this week, and then the Denver Broncos, you walk a little bit straighter.
First down, not a lot of running room with Julius Wormsley in the path of Jerome Smith, and you see some confidence, to your point, starting to grow with the rookie from Tulane, Julius Wormsley, who stood up in several plays.
Yeah, he really has, and those plays have come in bunches, and coaches tend to remember those situations, Kevin. When a guy flashes once or twice, that's okay, but when he's part of a series and he's consistently doing it, that makes a big difference.
2nd and 8, Yates over the middle to Smith. Banging forward for the first down to the 36-yard line, 11-yard pickup and a flag.
Holding number 79 of the offense, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Mike Johnson called for the hold.
Again, the Texans showing tremendous pressure in the interior line. Just watch 91 on the outside. Again, the tackle rides him down, gets called for it. Again, it's one of those deals where those are penalties of aggression, but it's because the Texans are putting so much pressure on him, and Romeo Cornell is just turning his guys loose on the edge.
Second and 18. Yates under pressure again, and he has to get rid of it off of a lineman. That pressure coming right up the middle from David Hunter, who came through unblocked.
Hunter was hunting down the quarterback on that play, and again, He looked like he was unblocked, and 66 just came ushering through. Again, that arm up. They had a little screen play working, but it never had a chance to develop. And most players, when they feel that play going away from them, will give up. But Hunter just really zoned in on the quarterback and went after him and made a great play.
Went off the hind quarter of Mike Johnson, who was surprised to.
That's a considerable effort, too.
3rd and 18. Time this time for Yates, and it's intercepted by Bulla. Max Bulla inside the 20 and down to the 16-yard line.
A couple of things on this one, Kevin. Number one, Max Bulla. You say, well, what is he so deep for? That's what this 3-4 is going to ask its linebackers to do. In center field, he's going to drop back in his deep coverage. There he is in between the hashes. He settles on the ball. That little stop route, the receiver kept going, and Bullock, because of his depth and his vision, he saw the pass, set on it, and picked that one off, and I thought that was a brilliant play. Number one, of playing the zone assignment properly and then settling on the ball once he got his hands on it.
Now some red zone offensive work for the rookie Tom Savage back in at quarterback for Houston. And a timeout's going to be taken by the Texans with 5:34 to go. Max Bulla getting some congratulations as he comes up with the pick. Another guy trying to make a team, and Max Bulla making a fourth quarter statement with the interception. We were touching on it earlier, Spencer, the notion of guys trying to make the Texans, but also trying to give something on film for another team to look at, because we know all these guys aren't making this team.
That's right. There are 31 other teams that will have access to this video, and believe me, they're going to be pouring over it. The numbers demand that they know all of the personnel that's available and out there, and if a need arises, they'll be able to pick if you show them that.
William Powell, the running back in the eye, and Powell with the carry. Powell to the edge and out of bounds at the 12-yard line, and another flag is down.
It's raining flags today, man. It's you expect a little bit of that when you get the 3s and the 4s in the game, but you know what? You still want the efficiency there because it's reflective of your team.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 71's on the end of the line. 5-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Mike Farrell flagged for the illegal formation. Bill O'Brien told us he wanted to be better penalty-wise. Not so sure that's the goal they're going to hit tonight, although most of his other goals, I think they'll find satisfactory. As the bounce outside for Powell trying to find running room, now reversing his field, and he's caught from behind. Once you start going the other way, hard to get away, and Pat Angler on the tack.
You know what makes those plays, in the rare instances that they are a success, is you've sold it so hard to the right. You have got to sprint to the opposite side if you're going to do it. If you choke your motor, it's going to be Katie bar the door. They're going to collapse on you in a hurry.
For a time, former Houston Oiler Mike Logier against UCLA did one of those go to the left, came all the way around, ran about 100 yards for a 10-yard touchdown.
Rosie Love, another Nebraska guy. I guess there's a connection.
That was the Houston connection. I'm just working it. Oh, did he play at Nebraska?
Yeah, Heisman Trophy winner. Good friend of mine, by the way. He's good people. Rosie Love.
One of the sharpest dressed retired NFL players in the history of the league.
Used to drive a fire engine red Mercedes.
Did he? That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, but he could run hard. Big old hard hit, man, just stout, thick.
In his career at the Pittsburgh Maulers in the USFL.
Of all people, he married a district attorney living in Jersey now. How about that?
3rd down and 14. Savage over the middle. Catch is made and dropped immediately as Powell at the 15-yard line.
Yeah, I got Mike Rozier stories all day, but I know that he's not part of the narrative here, but in the building just adjacent to us, the Astrodome, he was part of a lot of memories and some special teams there that we played on many years ago back in the 90s. So Mike is good people.
On is Chris Boswell, trying for the 33-yard field goal. He's missed 2 extra points tonight. Both have been wide right. This one headed that direction, but the field goal is good, and Boswell, something to feel good about when he lays his head down on the pillow tonight. 32-7, Houston with the lead.
All phases of the game working right now, with the exception of those missed point-after attempts. And again, the Texans showing that they're aggressive, No more errors on special teams.
Special teams and defense have been a big story tonight. First, the defense and special teams. There's that blocked punt and then the touchdown for Grimes.
Yeah, the presence of mind, number one, to pick that thing and scoop, and then Sid Berry's sack here. A tremendous effort sack on that play. And then another field goal block. Effort there, sitting down on that one. Howell, take us to the house, showing you he's able to squat and read the quarterback, and then Bullock dropping in the center field from his linebacking position, squatting on that ball, put that ball in the left hand. You can stiff arm somebody and get in there for the score, big fella.
Our Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football standout, the defense and special teams. Get some points for that in your fantasy football league. Start a league today at yahoo.com/fantasyfootball. Now for a chance to win 4 VIP tickets to a regular season game, go to abc13.com and enter defense and special teams. Good luck.
As Coach Legashevsky was looking at a minute ago, you don't think he's wired, man? There's not a special teams coach in football that's not wired that way or a little bit unusual. He's among that ilk.
See some of the speed that has been shown throughout camp by that young man, Bernard Reedy. He has been making a lot of plays in practice for the Falcons during the course of this camp, and that great speed is something they really like out of the rookie from Toledo. Fourth quarterback of the night on for the Atlanta Falcons, and it's the rookie from Cornell, Jeff Matthews.
Well, these players on the defensive side, it really doesn't matter. You're playing not just against the opposition there, but you're playing for all those 31 other teams in the National Football League that want to see you fly around and make plays at this level, because it's only a matter of time that somebody gets hurt.
Matthews with a flag down, the completion at the 35-yard line. And then no more room to run after that, but yet another flag.
Ilias to hands to the face, number 73 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
He races the Freddie Martino catch. And backing up once more.
You know, people wonder why rote and repetition is so much a part of this. You know, success in this league is about doing it over and over and over again. You become efficient at it. And so you say, well, why are we experiencing so many of these penalties late in the game? Well, these guys aren't getting nearly as many reps in real time. So this is like starting from scratch for them.
First down and 20 back at the 16-yard line. 3:03 to play in a 32-7 Texans lead. There's another grab from Martino, and he's driven down, and they're going to call it incomplete. Martino with the grab, and then the big hit from Eddie Pleasant jarred it loose, and the pass incomplete.
That's a good job of parenting there by Pleasant. We call it parenting because when you burp a guy like that, you make that ball come out like that, just like burping, right? Pop that ball out like that. That's physical play right there. It's good stuff.
So Pleasant jarring it loose, or parenting, as my partner says. Second down and 20 at the 16-yard line. What a difference a week makes. And now they're going to challenge as to whether or not that was a catch and a fumble recovered by the Texans.
Yeah.
Jeff Triplett will come over and find out why Bill O'Brien threw the challenge flag. Let's watch it again.
Well, there's the release there. And does he make a football move after he catches it?
Complete pass.
Takes a couple of steps, looks like it to me, from the back end. Catches it, goes it down.
Did he ever have control?
Yeah, that's the question. Again, in slow motion, it kind of gives you the illusion that he actually had it longer than he did. But he's attempting to make a football move upfield.
We all know the verbiage, indisputable video evidence. It was ruled incomplete on the field. Will they see indisputable evidence that it was a catch, a fumble, and a clean recovery by the Texans? I don't think there's any question it was recovered by the Texans. Junior Mertiel, recently picked up by Houston this week, was the guy who scooped it up. But the question becomes, as Jeff Triplett already has seen, he'll jog right back out.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It's an incomplete pass. Houston is charged their second charge timeout.
That was a quick review. They saw it. They ruled it. Moved on.
The quicker it is, the more likely it is to stay, what it is. And again, if they stay under there long enough, which is why I thought the earlier play was going to be positioned someplace because it was going to be overturned, but it wasn't.
Second down and 20. Matthews, incomplete. Almost another interception for Andre Howe. David Hunter in on the front end of that play.
That was a bad play all around. He wasn't under much pressure, but again, that ball was thrown into coverage. Howe had another pick on his hands there. Again, eyes come back away trying to catch that crossing route. And, the problem with that was two things. Number one, there was pressure on the quarterback, and then the receiver gave the quarterback what we call a bastard read. I mean, if he's got man coverage, he needs to continue to run across the field and not stop and give him the illusion of zone.
Third down and 20. Problems again for Matthews. The completion, though, as he works out of trouble and down at the 34-yard line in the arms of Howe. The tackle is made, but it's going to be short of the first down. Jacob Pedersen, the tight end, unable to get to the sticks. Fourth down and 3, and the Falcons will punt one more time. Atlanta 4-12 a year ago. Of course, the Texans were 2-14. But 25 wins between these two teams just 2 seasons ago.
See what Labhart can do. He's got pretty sure hands, but I really like what I saw him in practice.
Nice little move to get clear of the first man. A flag is down as Labhart is down at the 39-yard line.
During the return, holding number 81, the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Denham flagged for the hold. One more offensive possession for the Texans, who are well in control. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is sweeping the nation right now. We've seen coaches, players, all kinds doing the challenge, and as I understand it, you have 24 hours to answer the challenge or donate money. And there's the website. You can find out more.
You've been challenged, haven't you?
I was challenged earlier today by a colleague of mine. I obviously have not responded yet because we've been doing a broadcast, but I will respond in kind. Take care of it before the end of the weekend.
You have that bucket?
No. I'm all wired up. This I could die. We don't want that, do we? Don't answer that. Little running room on that left side for William Powell, who signed this week. He camped last year in Arizona. Had a couple hundred yards for the Cardinals in 2012. A guy who came from Kansas State but never started in his career with the Wildcats.
Well, Bill Snyder's a great coach to have played for, and what I like about Powell's temperament in that play, he does what I call run well in the pocket. And a lot of times there's a lot of shouldering going on, but to stay in that pocket, in that little gap between the two blockers is really neat to see. Does it again. That's good.
Powell, big hit at the end of the run at the 45-yard line, but Camario McFadden, the rookie from South Carolina State, but it's a first down for Houston.
I'm going to say what I see. That particular play right there, when the DB comes up, we call him pencil necks. You got to take your high heels off and you got to lower your head and you got to hit that guy, right? You can't get driven back like that. So you run in the pocket well, but you got to finish those plays off against guys from the back end.
Powell 5'9" and generously listed at 207 pounds.
Throwing that way at K-State. Sproles, some of those guys, you know?
Trying to find some running room, but not much there. That door closed quickly. First guy to get in, Brandon Daly, was there. Also the tackle from Tyler Starr. Winding this one down, and last week on the wrong end of the 32-0 score, but a return back home to Houston, and the home cooking serves the Texans well. They're going to win this one 32-7.
And it's a good thing to see. These players know, as well as the coaches, there's ebb and flow in the course of the season, in the course of the preseason. But today, after that nondescript start out in the desert, it was good to see them recover as well as they did. And Fitzpatrick, with an outstanding day today, vindicated himself from last week's performance.
So Devion Clowney also with a very strong first appearance at home. All the way around, offense, defense, special teams, and the first victory of the preseason belongs to the Houston Texans. More in a moment.